Hello, very good morning to you. It's Sam Matterface alongside Alex Crook and former Watford captain Troy Deeney. We're live on talkSPORT this morning, as we are every Friday morning in the sunshine. The Premier League is back. We're delighted about it. It all gets underway exclusively live on talkSPORT. Tonight, Bournemouth. Are they the starkest example regarding the price of success? And for Liverpool, is a deal for Mark Gahey or another central defender arguably more important than Alexander Isak? Meanwhile, Arsenal legend Tony Adams claims the Gunners won't win the title with Odegaard as captain. Is he right, or is that overstating the impact of the armband? And also today, will it be more or less sort of, talk coming out of the PGMOL, or they're actually going to clamp down on simulation and holding in the Premier League? Top actor Alfie Allen joins us in the studio ahead of the release of his new Sky TV show Atomic. Plus, you'll get an exclusive interview with the new Brentford boss, Keith Andrews. It's Sam Matterface, Alex Crook and Troy Deeney, and we're live on talkSPORT.
100% engagement.
Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
Yes, it is Fun Boy Friday, which means we laugh, we preview the football, and we roll with the punches. Rather than slug it out like Connor Ben and Troy Deeney on Celebrity SAS. I know we'll talk more about that, but are you okay, by the way? Are you okay? You okay? Have you calmed down now? You're all right? Yeah. Everything's okay?
Life's good. Life's good. Connor's fine as well. Spoke to him a couple of days ago, so he's all right.
It's a great excuse, by the way, if you ever say anything stupid. You could just say, I've been hitting the head far too many times.
That was before I met Connor as well.
Just show people that video. I think they'll understand. Loads of football to preview because the Premier League is back. New laws, new managers. One of them is on the show this morning. New kits, new balls, new teams. But will we have a new champion? Well, we might find out tonight because our live and exclusive coverage is Liverpool against Bournemouth. Liverpool, the favourites, start with that game at Anfield. And Bournemouth, who had a really cracking season last year, who fell off towards the end of the season, but they've been picked apart. Is that the dilemma that you always face, Crookie, when you're a middle-class success in the Premier League?
Yeah, especially when you look at how far Bournemouth have come in still a relatively short period of time. I always tell the story. Probably only 2 decades ago now, Tuesday night at the Vitality, they're in League Two. Dagenham and Redbridge come there, they get a 0-0 draw, and they celebrate like they've won the Premier League, the FA Cup and the Champions League all rolled into one. And now this summer, Bournemouth having achieved their highest ever Premier League finish, their highest ever Premier League points total. Yes, they're selling players, but they're selling players to Real Madrid. They're selling players to the European champions, Paris Saint-Germain, the English champions, Liverpool. And actually, I'll take the positive if I'm Bill Foley in the recruitment team there, because if you're trying to attract a young player in this transfer window, you can say, look, here's the pathway. You come to Bournemouth for a year or two, you do a brilliant job, you establish yourself in the Premier League, and then you get the opportunity to move to a genuine heavyweight. What's not to love?
We will speak to one of their new players a little bit later on. Adrian Truffert has been speaking to Crookie over the last couple of days. But how much will the disruption affect Andoni Iraola, famed for being a coach who came up with a system that was a little bit different, took a little while to settle. You remember when he first arrived, it took a batch of games for him to get...
games, wasn't it?
Yeah, to get sort of into the right rhythm. Obviously, he hasn't worked with all of the players for the whole of the pre-season. Yep. There might be further disruption to come with Ouattara heading to Brentford. So what is the situation for him? How is he going to find it?
I think he'd be okay because the core of his squad is still the same. Again, look, for anyone losing the 2 centre-halves is massive. Again, obviously, Kirkes at left-back is difficult to replace, but they did that in January as well. So the young lad who came in will be up to speed and familiar with what is required. But I think, losing 2 massive centre-halves, again, Crookie alluded to, but you're selling to Real Madrid and PSG. Like, you're not selling to West Ham, for example. So I think he will be sitting there thinking, right, how do we reinvest this? What are we going to do? Just did the numbers there from profit-wise. It's needing over 90 million in profit. So you'd expect at least half of that to be able to go back in. And Bournemouth, a little bit like Brighton, always, every time you think they've reached the ceiling, they go again. So they'll find some new players and he'll be fine. But he'll definitely be frustrated at the lack of incomings as well, as opposed to outgoings.
Yeah, especially because he loves being on the training field. He loves working with players. He loves getting his system organised, and it requires so much to play for Bournemouth. There's a demand of commitment and a demand to buy into the system. They have signed Eli Junior Krupi, who's got a bucket load of goals in the French second division. He's only 19 years of age, but they may well have unearthed another superstar there. Adrian Traffeur, who we've already spoken about. I like him at left back. I saw him a few times last season. And Jordan Petrovic, who's come in from Chelsea. Troy's pointed to it. 95 million quid they've made already. Are they planning to spend some more of that?
Well, Diakarte's coming in from Lille as well. That will be the second most expensive signing in their history. That will replace one of the two central defenders. They've been in talks with Leverkusen about Amin Adli as well. I think that would be a Dongo Ouattara replacement, and it looks like that is getting closer because we reported last night they've agreed a £42.5 million fee with Brentford for Ouattara, which again I think
massive
for a fringe player is a brilliant piece of business once again for Bournemouth. Just in terms of Iraola, there is a little concern that I think the expectation was he would sign a new contract over the course of the summer. That hasn't happened. Now, he likes to work on short-term deals, but as it stands now, he's out of contract at the end of the season. I'm sure Bournemouth would like to get him tied down for at least another year.
But I think also on that, though, Crookie, from his point of view, he's smart enough to understand, right, let's see if we reinvest. Let's see if we get the promises that have been told to me. So he can use that as a bit of a negotiation tactic as well. But I just think it's really interesting. I promise I'm not making this about Watford, but we both got promoted at the same time. And if you just look how Bournemouth and the strides that they've made and the team that they lost, like the Callum Wilsons, the Matt Ritchies, etc., and you look at where Watford are now, it just goes to show just how prep and planning and future-proofing that your team, if you do that right, you can still be successful.
Yeah, fascinatingly as well, I think Iraola gave an interview last year where he talked about not having a long career. He wasn't going to be in it forever.
Yeah.
He wanted to do other things.
Thomas Frank's similar as well, isn't he?
I think he said something like that. But Iraola was sort of talking about, I think he was talking about Pep Guardiola and not talking about going on for as long as that, not staying for as long as that. And he had other things that he wanted to achieve. So I just wonder whether or not that's also in the back of his mind when he's talking about that. I wonder if Bournemouth fans, Palace fans, Newcastle fans, Brighton fans, Villa fans are all thinking the same sort of thing. Those with ambitions of punching above what is the glass ceiling, being upwardly mobile, getting a little bit hacked off with all the vultures circling every time they unearth a brilliant player? Or is that just the order of things? That's just the natural order of things. 03717 223344. You can text us 81089. And Liverpool fans, have you got what you need before the season starts? Of course, they are the other side of the coin in tonight's live and exclusive fixture on talkSPORT. What's more important, getting your hands on Isaac or bringing in central defensive cover? 03717 223344. New season, new names, and a few more than elsewhere at Liverpool. Ekitike, Wirtz, Kerkez against his old club tonight. Frimpong, a couple of others, and more to come. What is happening with the pursuit of a new defender? Because they are looking at this guy from Roma, aren't they?
Palmer.
Palmer, sorry.
Leone, yeah. I think that one will get done. He was flying in yesterday for a medical. £26 million could prove to be a bit of a steal because speaking of people over in Italy, people who've worked with him, they think he's the real deal. Obviously, this is one for the future. He's only 18 years of age. I think they would still like a more senior backup option to Virgil van Dijk and Ibrahima Konate. At the moment, I would still say it's more likely Mark Gay stays at Palace and lets his contract runs down than makes that move to Liverpool, partly because Palace is still asking for more than £40 million, which is a lot of money for someone who's only got a year left. But also, I think from his perspective, I've said this a few times on talkSPORT, he's settled at Palace, he's the captain, he's guaranteed to play week in, week out in a World Cup year when he's got his sights set on being England's first choice centre-back at the World Cup. If he goes to Liverpool and ends up playing second fiddle to Van Dijk and Konate, that's a risk, isn't it, Troy?
No, it is, especially in the World Cup year, as you alluded to. I think I really like what Liverpool are doing. It's improving for the here and now, but there's so much long-term thinking in it as well. You just spoke about the young defender they're bringing in from Italy. I just think I can see a pathway in which they get Gahey for free in the summer and they go to a 5 at the back or 3-5-2. And then
Konate leaves, potentially.
I could just see a way in which they're moving forward with wing-backs and future-proofing for when Salah decides to leave. At some point, that will happen, whether that's 2 years from now or 5 years from now. I just think they're future-proofing, and I like everything that Liverpool are doing at the moment. It's really, really interesting to watch.
But it is a fine balancing act, isn't it, between keeping the core of what you did well last year when you won the league and trying to future-proof, as you've already mentioned. And the old adage is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But you've got to make sure that you do add from a position of strength.
Absolutely, but then they can look at Man City from last year and take stock in that Man City probably were too stale at the start of last season. They thought they could go one more year with this same team and realised by January, actually, we're going to have to get 4, 5, maybe even 9 players in. And, if you're Liverpool, you're always thinking forward. I know we're going to talk about it later, but please, let's never have a conversation that a centre-back's more important than a striker. Let's never have that, please.
03717223344. Do you think getting centre-back cover is more important than getting a striker? The reason that might be asked is because they've already got replacements going forward. They bought in Ekitike. They've bought in,
but they've lost as well in those areas.
They still look like
they've lost. Yeah.
Well, that's something. I mean, you say that. You said to Virgil van Dijk, you've got lots of options going forward, and he said to you, no, actually, we have.
But that's what Alex Crook does. Did you not know that? He has an opinion. Here's somebody else's opinion, and he goes, "Oh, that's my opinion."
Yes, and if you want more of that, Premier League All Access on our YouTube channel certainly has a Troy takedown of Alex Crook's opinion.
No surprise, by the way, that FA Sam, Mr. Defensive, is saying defence is more important than
attack. Absolutely.
So you can try and spin it round. Ultimately, we were talking about you. 03717223344 if you want to get in touch with us about all of that. Ekitike, Isak, Wirtz, possibly Isak in the same team as Ekitike. Does that happen? Can it work with Salah there as well?
Yeah, because obviously Ekitike as well played out the left, didn't he? Yeah. When he first came.
So what do you do? Have the width coming from the fullbacks as we've seen?
Yeah, and they come inside.
Shield, those two come inside, play more narrow.
And also, again, the amount of games. For as great as Isak is, he's going to miss 5 to 10 games out the course of the season. He does pick up little injuries, so you need backup there. And they're trying to compete not only in the Premier League, but on all 4 fronts, aren't they? Because we always get to this point with Liverpool for the last 2 or 3 years, around February, and it's like, oh, are they going to do the treble? And then it kind of fades away. So I think with the replacements and the squad that they've got, hopefully they can be more competitive on all 4 fronts.
I think also they're aware that Mo Salah will do well, I think, to hit the numbers that he hit last season. He's a year older.
Absolutely.
Obviously, he didn't finish last season brilliantly. You've got AFCON as well, midway through the season, so you're going to lose him for a period of time.
It's all right.
I think Ekitike might outscore Salah this season. There you go.
That's a bold statement. I'm not going to go that far with you, but you've got to remember, we're going to get onto it later, but Sam and his referee mates have made it easier for Salah to get more penalties. So, we'll get into that a little bit later.
Oh, big developments.
Do you know what? I was with Howard Webb at the Premier League launch this week, and the disappointment on his face when he thought it was me and not FA interviewing you. It was palpable.
Just all this has spurned off the fact that Crook's been done by Virgil van Dijk, and he's had to try and turn the spotlight round on me. 03717223344. Lots of Liverpool callers already get in touch. We want to hear from you on the text as well. It's 81089. You can WhatsApp us on that number as well. 03717223344. Liverpool unbeaten in their last 12 opening games. Take on Bournemouth tonight live on talkSPORT. It kicks off at 8 o'clock. We've got loads of live sport on talkSPORT this weekend. Big fight as well. We will talk heavyweight boxing in the not too distant future. And I'm not talking Celebrity SAS. Deflection Crook, Sam Matterface and Troy Deeney are all here in the studio. It's interesting, isn't it, how he tries to sort of change tack. I mean, he's been here since, he keeps telling us 7 o'clock this morning. He's all prepared for the show. He hasn't got a pair of headphones. He hasn't plugged them in. When he tries to plug them in, he's like, oh, can't do that. It's impossible. How do you put these in your ear? I mean, it's a new studio. It's not going down well with him. He's not comfortable. And then he blames everybody else.
Sounds about right. Where were you at the big Premier League launch party last night up on the roof?
I had to. My daughter was over from Dubai. She's only over for a couple of days, so I thought I'd probably bet.
Lack of commitment.
Fatherly duties. I know you wouldn't be interested in such a thing. 03717223344. Rob's a Liverpool fan. Hello.
How you doing?
Yeah, we're good, thank you. Where do Liverpool need cover?
Personally, I think they need cover in that sort of defensive area. I think if we have the issues that we had in the last couple of seasons, we're going to be found wanting. I'm not sure why we sold Kwanzaa. I think he had a brilliant under 21 Euros, and to sell him, I think, is a little bit short-sighted, especially now as we're looking for another young centre-back. So, yeah, not sure we've done the right thing. And then I've just got a question for you guys as well. Do you think there is a world where Liverpool no longer want Isak because of the way he's behaved, and actually is indicating he's not the right type of person we want in the club?
Is that a serious question?
It's a serious question, yeah, because it's gone very, very, very quiet from a Liverpool perspective, and I'm not sure whether actually they're looking at his personality. And be careful for what you wish for, because in a couple of years' time, when Real Madrid or Barcelona come knocking, we might find ourselves in the same situation where he goes on strike again.
Is it more that the issue is between the two clubs trying to negotiate a fee, and there's a little bit of awkwardness there because of the history of the relationships between the manager of Newcastle and the hierarchy at Liverpool?
No, from what I'm told, the relationships are cordial, more than cordial, because this is business, and there would have been occasions in the past when Eddie Howe would have been competing with Richard Hughes when he was with Bournemouth for signings, and obviously Newcastle being the bigger club would have come out on top. But I think we forget that Virgil van Dijk didn't exactly cover himself in glory when he left Southampton for Liverpool. Mm-hmm. He was caught in a secret meeting with Jurgen Klopp, I think in Blackpool, if memory serves me right. Southampton, as a result of that, kept him at the club for 6 months longer than maybe he would have wanted, and he got his move in the end. Anthony Gordon, when he went to Newcastle, again, forced to move from Everton. And even Harry Kane, do you remember that year that he went AWOL at Tottenham? So Alexander Isak is not alone, and I don't think Liverpool will have any concerns. The reason the deal isn't kicking on at the moment is because Newcastle are struggling to source a top-level replacement.
Yeah, I think as well, Rob, just to quickly answer to that, I think you have to look at this is just part of the negotiation. It happens, unfortunately. The player probably thinks a deal should have been done at the original price. Was it 110 million, 120 million, whatever it was? I think he thought that should have been done. So he's letting his position be known that there's no way that he can stay at Newcastle, and that probably brings the price down. I don't think looking at this small 4 to 5 week period of his actions takes away from the last 5 years of his actions.
Can I ask you, Rob, because obviously Trent Alexander-Arnold got a lot of stick towards the end of his Liverpool tenure. There was him being booed at Anfield. Do you think Liverpool fans will view Trent Alexander-Arnold differently now that Alexander Isak is going to these extreme lengths to make sure he gets his move to Liverpool?
I think the behaviour of Liverpool fans towards Trent was a little unreasonable anyway. Trent didn't do anything that Isak is doing. He didn't refuse to play for the club. He just made his store very clear and refused to sign a new contract, but still went ahead and did his very best week in, week out for the club. And so I think it's a slightly different situation. And I hope that the Liverpool fans, if not already, but in time, will sort of still view Trent as a legend, as he rightly should be. I mean, he created himself a legendary status just purely by putting that corner in against Barcelona. So hopefully they'll be able to resolve and move on from that.
Cheers, Rob. 03717223344 is the number to call if you want to get in touch. You can text us 81089. Let's speak to James, who's a Liverpool fan. You don't think they should be going after Alexander Isak? Why?
To be honest with you, I'm not actually 100% sure on that, actually, because I think, why not go for both? I mean, we've got the funds there. The money just keeps rolling in. So, I mean, you've got a player in Alexander Isak there who's refusing now to play for Newcastle United. Why would you want to keep that player at your club? Why would you want to keep a player that's refusing to play for your club at your club? Because I tell you now, if that was a Liverpool player, I would want him out the door. I'd want him gone as soon as possible. But for some strange reason, Newcastle are still keeping hold of him as if they're trying to keep...
Well, hold on. It's not a strange reason at all, is it? I mean, it's the fact they want to realise the value, because if they give in to his demands, it just encourages everyone to behave in the same way. And what they want to do is maximise the amount of money they're going to get out of Liverpool for him.
No, to be honest with you, I think it's the opposite way around. I think it decreases his value because the player obviously wants to go. Then, obviously, he's got 3 years left on his contract, which is fair enough. But I think it's decreasing his value because he's made it clear and evident that he doesn't want to go. But on the alternative side to that, I do think Liverpool need defensive cover. We've only got 2 pretty much out-and-out starting lineup centre-backs in Konate and Van Dijk. Konate's always had a history there of being injury-prone. So he tends to get a knock here and there anyway. But I do generally think that we definitely need defensive cover.
Yeah.
I mean,
James, could I just interrupt you on that? Because Rob just said that just before, right? He said, obviously, getting rid of Kwanzaa was probably short-sighted. But if you remember last year when Kwanzaa played, he made quite a few mistakes. I know he's a young player, you are going to make mistakes. But I think there was probably enough there that Arnie Slot thought, maybe he doesn't have the concentration levels to play at that elite level. So move on from him, 100% PSR. They've just got this young lad in from Italy. Maybe get one more in as well. So I understand that your thought process there. But when everyone's fit and available, there's enough cover to get through, isn't there?
Not really. Well, you know what it's like
Joe
yourself,
Gomez?
I mean, you've played top level football. Games come thick and fast during the winter months. That's when you're most
vulnerable, susceptible
that's
to
when
getting
injuries, fatigue, everything like that is going to start hitting, especially with trying to compete because it's Liverpool. We're expected now to at least be getting to finals. So Champions League, you've got to think about is the FA Cup, the League Cup as well, if we're going to go for the League Cup. When these games come round thick and fast, mate, you know what it's like yourself. You're playing on a Tuesday night, then again on a Saturday, then you're back playing again. I mean, during Christmas, it's 3 games a week.
Yeah, so, I'll take your point on that.
Okay, James, thank you very much. Appreciate your points. Elliot's a Liverpool fan. Very quickly, do you want to give us your view?
It's just a quick question to Crookie about Mark Gay, why he believes that Palace would let him run his contract down when Steve Parish has already come out and said that the club can't run that way.
Yeah, but what Steve Parish has said doesn't equate to what he's asking for in terms of a fee. I've spoken to more than one club who would be interested in Mark Gay, and the message is the same. At the moment, Palace's demands are too high. That may change as we get nearer the transfer window. It may change in January when he'll be into the last 6 months of his contract. But what I do know from Mark Gay's perspective is that he's relaxed about the situation. If he goes, he goes. If he stays, he's more than happy to do so.
Well, he needs to be playing as well, doesn't he? That's the main thing for him.
You say he needs to be playing, but I mean, if you look at Virgil van Dijk, he's 34 years old, so obviously we've got to start managing him at some point. As your last caller alluded to as well, Konate hasn't been blessed with perfect fitness over the years, so I still think Mark Gay is likely to get 25, 30 starts across all comps.
Yeah.
Who else in the England squad is gonna get above him in that time?
No, I totally take that point. I think from what I know, people that deal with Palace know that Palace want a premium for their players, and they find it very difficult to get Palace off of that start block. If they want, for example, 70 million for Gahey, you're not going to get them down to 55 with add-ons. They're going to stay at 70.
Which was the case last year with the Newcastle.
Yeah, so a lot of people that I've spoken to, similar to Crookie, have gone, okay, we'll just move on to somebody else then because Palace are difficult to deal with.
That's why Wilf Zaha was there for so long, wasn't it? Because the price was so high that Premier League clubs didn't want to pay a premium.
Okay, next we are talking big heavyweight boxing. We've got Moses Toma against Dillian White live from Saudi Arabia. That's coming next.
Let's be honest, we've all found ourselves raging at a referee's decision at some stage. Something like this?
That is an absolutely shocking decision.
They've got a case in that it was a bad decision.
It's such a poor decision.
Yeah, I think he's just made a bad decision in that instance.
But what does it take to get to the very top level of football refereeing? You can apply to become a referee through your local county FA from as soon as your 14th birthday. After spending several hours either in the classroom or on the pitch, they'll grant you Level 7 status, which allows you to officiate amateur games. Then you'll work your way through the ranks of amateur football, not reaching the National League until Level 2. It's a long process, bearing in mind every level from 7 upwards takes an average of a year. Also, there's no specific number of games you have to ref or hours you have to log before moving on up. You simply just have to be good enough. Once you're Level 2 and have enough experience at a National League level, you can apply to the EFL to become a Level 1 referee. Then it's on you to get enough experience to climb through the ranks and eventually become a Premier League referee. In total, there are 37,000 registered referees across England, but the PGMOL has only deemed 21 good enough to officiate games in the top flight. So if you want to make it to the top, there's less than a 1 in 1,000 chance of doing it, and it'll take you a decade to get there.
talkSPORT on a Friday morning. It's Sam Matterface and the heavyweight guests of Alex Crook and Troy Deeney in the studio this morning, and we've got huge boxing action for you tomorrow night. We're going to Saudi Arabia for a much anticipated clash.
It's the biggest fight of my life and career.
Dillian, the body snatcher.
Everyone's saying no break. He is the biggest, hardest fight, the hardest puncher, the quickest puncher, the fastest guy.
Tauma is going looking for another showreel knockout. Moses Tauma can take him out right now.
The strongest guy, the most intelligent, the most patient is boxer.
He's a better mover than Mike Tyson, like a bit more fluid.
Oodles of natural talent.
I even phoned Dylan, like, Dylan, I don't know why you're taking this fight.
2 national titles, 3 European gold medals, and a world title. As a professional, I'm looking to replicate that.
Everyone portray him as a superhuman. That's how I'm approaching the fight. I'm fighting Superman.
Tauma! Oh, that's it!
If he can beat Dylan White, then it's certainly the real deal.
Dylan White is victorious!
talkSPORT and bringing you coverage this weekend of the live heavyweight clash between Moses Tauma and Dillian White in Saudi Arabia. I'm delighted to say the head of Queensberry Promotions, Frank Warren, is with us live from Saudi this morning. Frank, good morning.
Morning, how are you chaps?
Yeah, very good, thank you. This bout has more than a few storylines attached to it. Dillian, the older fighter, and Moses, the young, fresh knockout machine. But how impressed are you with the way that Dillian has come out the training camp in Portugal? He looks ripped.
He does. I didn't expect this, to be quite honest. He's obviously put a lot of work into it, and he obviously knows this is a moment in time for him in his career. He can't afford to lose, because if he does, he goes right down the pecking order. But I never expect him to come in looking as mean and lean as he does.
10 of Tauma's 12 professional fights, he's got an unblemished amateur record as well, have ended in knockouts. What sort of fight are you expecting? Because Moses doesn't usually hang around very long.
Well, he doesn't. He finds a way quickly, but he's in with a very, very experienced fighter who's fought at the top level and been in with everybody. And he's given a good account himself. Some he's lost, some he's won, and some have been very close fights. But this fight, I think, for him is is going to be a unique experience at this stage of his career. 20-year-old boy, or young man, I should say, in with a seasoned guy like this, and you think about, for example, what AJ didn't turn pro till he was 24, or he was 24 when he won the Olympics. This is a young guy in with an experienced fighter, and somebody who I think in his mind thinks he's going to old man him. He's going to take him into deep waters. So it's going to be a very, very interesting fight on Saturday. I think it's going to be a really good quality fight. I really do.
Frank, just on that with Dillian, it seemed as though him and Moses were very respectful. Didn't go at each other, but it got a little bit spiky yesterday, didn't it?
It did, but both of them are quite. I mean, I know Dillian has had his moments at press conferences with other fighters. Moses is quite respectful. I mean, I've not really heard him ever badmouth anybody, and I was sort of standing in between them yesterday, and I think he asked him to remove his glasses. He said, "You take your sunglasses." I said, "I want to look." He said, "What for?" He said, "I want to look in your eyes," and Dillian come back with his reply, and but they were, there was just for a moment a little bit there, but it weren't like that. All fighters are different. Some get off on trying to put intimidation. That is certainly not been part of what's been up to us yet. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen at the weigh-in today. We'll see when they do their last head-to-head, but. It's all about getting the mental edge for some guys, and I think with Dillian, I generally felt he would try and put it on him a bit and try and show that at this stage of the game he feels he's the boss, but it's not happened yet.
Yeah, and just on Dillian, obviously we spoke a lot about his weight and how he's come in. Are you expecting Dillian to try and box and be cute with Moses, or everyone who I spoke to was expecting him to come in a little bit heavier? Try and old man him, as you say, but it doesn't seem to be that way.
Well, he might be looking for speed. It'd be interesting to see if he can do it at 37 years of age. I mean, he's still a year younger than Usyk. Can he do that? And will he manage to do that? I don't know. I mean, if I always think what I'd do if I was in the other guy's corner, what the tactics I would advise, and me would be for a young guy to actually try and take him out of his stride, make it hard the first few rounds, try and get in his head that, there could be 12 hard rounds here. And especially if somebody's not gone into the 12th round in a fight, thinking that, if it's a good pace the fight's fought at, how's he going to feel, and get that doubt in his mind. Basically, as you say, to old man him, to try and take the fight and dominate the fight. I think he's got to do that to win. If he allows Moses to get into his stride, I think he'll have a few problems. So for me, this is all about Dillian coming and trying to take away all of Moses, all the best that he's got, what he can offer. He's got to take that off of him. He's got to get in there and he's got to try and intimidate him.
A lot's been made, Frank, of the fact that Moses has not really had to take too many hard punches to this point in his career. Do you see that changing tomorrow night, and how do you think he's going to cope with that?
I hope not. I don't want him taking hard punches. He's a 20-year-old fighter. I mean, boxing's called the art of hitting and not being hit. That's what it's about. And, no, he's not at this stage, but there's lots of fights. I'll go back to Nigel Benn when he turned pro with me. I think in the first year, I think he had something like 12 wins on the trot, knocking people over. Second year, knocking people over. But eventually, somebody stays with them, and you've got to have a plan B. You've got to have a boxing brain. You've got to be out of the box. Moses can box. I mean, anybody who's seen him fight and seen the way he's gone about his business, you can see he's got a good boxing brain. He can whack. He's a big puncher. He's natural, fluid. He's got great composure. He's got fast hands. He's good on his feet. Really good reflexes, and he's hurtful. And he's got good head movement. And for a 20-year-old, he gets his distance right, which is very unusual, certainly for a heavyweight, especially when they get guys in trouble. He maintains his distance and tees off his punches perfectly. I think, I do think he is a good boxer. He's not a one-trick pony.
What are the benefits for Dillian Whyte taking this fight? Because we had Derek Chisora on this show saying that he'd rang Dillian and advised him not to take the fight, said he was stupid to get in the ring with Moses Atalma. I mean, obviously he's had a long and varied career. He's stayed with some of the best in the ring, Dillian White. But what is his motivation for taking it?
Money. He's getting very, very well paid. And if he wins the fight, he's going to be in a big, big fight. Mm-hmm. But it's not the money is the main reason. But the other side of it is, if he does win, as I say, gets into a big fight, that means he's going to earn even bigger purse in a bigger fight. He knows better than you, me, or anyone. He loses this fight, he goes down the pecking order. Mm-hmm. You know, he loses his seat at the table. So he knows his career at this age that he's at is on the line. You know, for Moses, I hope it's not be the case, but he's a young man. If he got beaten, he learns from a defeat. That can happen. You know, he won't be the first fighter to get beat. You know, you look at all the greats. You know, look at Ali's, you look at Larry Holmes, you look at Frazier's, Foreman's. All of them have got defeats on their record.
And you're expecting him to be in that category?
What you learn from them. I at this stage, at this age he's at, I think he's up there with them at this age.
Yeah, Frank, just
now, whether he can go on and do and emulate what they did or what they've done in the past, I think he has a good chance of doing that. But one thing's for sure, we're going to find out on Saturday.
Frank, just quickly, mate, before we have to let you go. Daniel Dubois, obviously, you look at who's going to fill the gap now with Tyson looking like he's moving on, AJ looking like, you know, in the next 2 years these guys won't be around. Do you see Daniel Dubois and Moses Toma both fighting each other and creating a legacy similar to Eubank, Ben, as we grew up on? Or do you think that these guys will kind of go their separate way and try to push through each other?
Well, if Daniel's only 27 years of age. He's a baby as a heavyweight still. If he can resurrect, which I believe he can, and I hope he can, and he only do that if he learns lessons from what went wrong on the night against Usyk. I'm not taking anything away from Usyk. He's in with a great heavyweight, the best of his generation at the moment. If he can learn and come through, of course that's a big fight. It's a massive, massive fight. You know, Moses comes through, Daniel comes through. Gets a few wins under his belt. That's a fight that would sell out anywhere. It's a big fight. You know, you think about Daniel. There's not any fighter in the world in 2 consecutive fights who's fought in front of such a huge audience, huge live audience. 186,000 people watched his last 2 fights live.
And we've got that live fight tomorrow night, and there'll be loads of people listening on talkSPORT and watching on the talkSPORT boxing channel on YouTube. And Frank, it's heavyweight clashes all over the place this weekend with your beloved Arsenal going to Manchester United. What are you nervous about more, Moses' performance or Arsenal's?
I'm not even thinking about Arsenal at the moment. That's on Sunday. I'll worry about that on Sunday.
Are they going to win it, Frank?
Troy, I want you. We're going to win the league this year. I say it every year. We're going to win it. I must get it once right in 21 years.
You never know.
I hope I'll do anyway.
Fingers crossed.
What I want to do, what make me happy, so I want to get you on my next undercard, mate.
Oh, mate, you know, you've got my number. Let's have a chat.
You've seen the audition now, haven't you?
I am. I'll tell you what. I was very impressed. I mean, you've obviously, did you ever do any parachute training in a previous life? The way you rolled over as you went down.
Frank, that's not nice. You know, everyone goes down, but it's about how you get up and respond.
I'm only joking. That's what you've got to do. That's what it's all about. Getting up.
He got used to going down easily in the Premier League. Cheers, Frank. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. That's Frank Warren, the head of Queensbury Promotions, and of course the man putting on the big fight tomorrow night live in Saudi Arabia. It's on talkSPORT. It's Moses Atama against Dillian White. We had a bit of a laugh on the Premier League All Access podcast this week, didn't we? And old Crookie was already having a go at one Premier League manager. A Premier League manager who's going to join us next. Hello, very good morning to you. It's Matterface, Troy Deeney and Alex Crook. You saw, if you're watching on our YouTube channel or on the connected TV app, you saw Alex there sitting back, relaxing, punching things into his phone. I can assure you that is what he calls working. It's been an eventful summer at Brentford where they have lost frontline players and their gaffer Thomas Frank too, but they have brought in some very good, very experienced replacements as well, maybe under the radar a little bit, and they do have a fresh, young, confident manager in Keith Andrews, despite the doubters. The former Wolves captain and Ireland international is looking forward to the campaign, and I sat down with him this week and asked him how he felt about taking over a Premier League club.
Slightly surreal, maybe. Was it expected? No, got to be honest around that. I had a little sense that something might be brewing, obviously, with Thomas going to Spurs. And then it just creates that little bit of uncertainty, does it, for the football club. And as that materialises and eventually happens, and I started to have discussions, obviously, with the club, and they went pretty well, clearly.
On Saturday, it's going to be 50 days since your appointment as the Brentford manager. What have been the biggest challenges after making the transition to head coach?
Initially, Sam, it was probably identifying the staff that I needed to come in. I was pretty aware of where the playing side of things would be. So it was making sure that we identified, went through a real thorough process around the right type of coaches, backroom staff that would, I suppose, complement me, and planning the pre-season that was already in place, tweaking little parts of it that I felt would suit the group better. And then once we got into the training, it's been pretty simple, really. I know the players really well, clearly, from being in the building, good relationships with the players. And it's just been building on what's been very, very good at the football club, identifying things that I didn't want to lose from the identity of the team, and then just tweaking little things as pre-season's gone on in terms of what I feel the team should look like and where we need to improve things collectively, and then always an eye on developing the individual, which I'm big on.
We talk a lot in the Premier League about the reaction of news, transfers, managerial appointments. Any high-profile job always garners the spotlight. How would you explain your leadership style to someone who was sceptical about the fact that Brentford had appointed someone who'd never taken charge of a first team before?
Yeah, I think the reality is I understand it. I'm not someone who's got my head in the clouds. I'm very aware of that. If I was looking at things externally and on the other side of the world had nothing to do with Brentford, I would possibly look at it in the same way. So I get that, and I have to be honest, I'm pretty comfortable with that. I'm okay with that. If people don't know me, that's fine. Where they're able to have an opinion on me from afar. I think what's important is the people that are in the building. So that's the people that have chosen me to be the person to take over from Thomas. And equally, possibly more important, the players, with the relationship that I have with them, and the connection that I have with them, and the way I see the team moving forward. There's not much I can do about those people in terms of what they say, and again, I'm all right with that. We just need to produce on the football pitch. That's always been the way. I don't see that changing.
There has been quite a lot of disruption at Brentford. The managerial change, key players have left in Bournemouth, Norgard, the captain, Ben Mee, big influence at centre-half, first choice goalkeeper last year has gone. But have we in the media, or have some in the media, sort of made enough of the acquisition? Because you brought in some really experienced players.
Yeah, we have. Like, if you look at the goalkeeping situation, we've brought in a keeper who has produced top moments and played a lot of games for one of the biggest football clubs in the world. Someone I've worked with for 5 years on the 21 level with Ireland, and then throughout his senior Irish career. So he's someone I'm very, very aware of. Christian Norgard, you're right, that was probably an unexpected one for us. I didn't enjoy that phone call when I got it, I'll be honest, because he was a pivotal part of the team and my plans, but was very understanding of his age. His contract situation was coming out, and then he re-signed one, and the opportunity to play at that level, the finances involved. Quickly became aware of Jordan Henderson's availability, spoke with Jordan, and then I was feeling a lot more comfortable about that situation. We signed Anthony Malambo, who I think is a top young player, who will have a really good career here. We just need to settle him into the intensity, I suppose, of the Premier League and our requirements of what we want from him. So yeah, I think we've signed well, and I think the other thing we've got is we have this kind of trend at this football club, I would say, and I made the point when we played Borussia Mönchengladbach on Friday night. 12 months ago, we played Wolfsburg on a Friday night, and Mikael Damsgaard wasn't in the team. He played on the Saturday and the next day, and not the marquee game, if you like, if I'm being entirely honest. Everybody wants to play in front of the fans. Don't know many of them that would prefer to play at the training ground in front of 200 people. So Dams didn't start that game last year, and he was our player of the year and players' player of the year. So there's always opportunities. I think it just screams of opportunity for certain players. And the Dams of last year, who's it going to be this year? Is it going to be Fabio Carvalho? Is it going to be Igor Thiago, Keane Lewis-Porter? I think there's so many stories ready to erupt, and I've got so much confidence in the group of players that I work with on a day-to-day basis.
Well, the story that's been erupting over the last couple of weeks, it is the summer, players are linked with moves. That's the very nature of it, is Yoane Wissa. He's been the subject of interest, or that's what's been reported. How does it help Brentford that you have an existing relationship with him, that if he stays, rather than someone else from outside coming in and trying to manage that situation, he already knows and trusts you?
Yeah, hopefully that will help. I have got a good relationship with Wiss. I worked really hard with him last year to try and find him goals, I suppose. 7 of his 19 goals last year came from set pieces. So he owes me, really. So he shouldn't be going anywhere, Sam, to be blunt. Listen, on a serious note, I have got a good relationship with him. Has the last few weeks been ideal? No, of course it hasn't. It hasn't been ideal for him. It certainly hasn't been ideal for him. But I think what underpins that is a mutual respect, that we understand the situation. And hopefully, from my point of view, he's still at the club. I don't see that hasn't changed as far as I've said in the last few days. Nothing is fresh, nothing is new. It's a scenario that isn't wanted from me. Clearly, why would anybody want to lose a striker who scored 19 Premier League goals? So it is what it is, unfortunately. I'll keep communicating to Yoane as he is with me. And again, going back to that respectful relationship, that will certainly remain.
Do you think you can convince him to stay? Apart from just telling him that you got him all his goals last year?
I don't know is the honest answer. There's interest, obviously, which has been well documented. It's felt like a long few weeks in terms of where it started to where it is now. There's a few more weeks to go. I would love Yoane to be here come the 3rd, 4th of September, whatever it is, when the window closes, because he's a top player and a top person that fits into the value and the ethos of this club really, really well. So that's what I hope. We'll have to wait and see.
That was Keith Andrews speaking to me a couple of days ago. I mean, he did work a lot with Yoane Wissa over the course of last season, and the two have got a very good relationship. So even if they don't manage to keep him, then the disruption won't be as stark, I don't think. What is the latest situation on that? Because things have motored on since I spoke to Keith.
Yeah, I think the dominoes that are falling. We mentioned Dongo Ouattara, big money for Brentford. I think a record signing, is it, for Brentford, to sign him for £42.5 million. That, my understanding, would be the Wissa replacement. Obviously, Newcastle trying to get that deal done. Clearly, it won't happen in time for their game against Villa, live on talkSPORT tomorrow. Will Wissa feature for Brentford this weekend? I would suggest unlikely. And that's the big issue that Keith Andrews has got, isn't it? As much as he's coming in and replacing a club legend in the dugout, arguably Brentford's greatest ever manager, he's also losing his main goal supply from last season, not just Wissa, but Mbeumo as well.
He is, and we'll talk to you about your scepticism after the news at 11 o'clock. So much to talk about after 11 o'clock, including Arsenal legend Tony Adams saying that they're not going to win the Premier League unless they take the captain's armband off of Martin Odegaard. We'll do that next. This is talkSPORT. Sam Matterface, Troy Deeney and Alex Crook with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Score a winning hat-trick of performance, payload and price. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at 11:01. I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. As his new look Liverpool get ready to open their title defence at home to Bournemouth tonight, Arne Slot's told us his players will take time to get used to each other.
I still have to adjust small things to the new ones coming in, compared with the ones that stayed behind, because they're not one-on-one the same players as the one that left.
Well, Adrian Truffert has spoken to us about replacing Milos Kerkez at Bournemouth.
He did a very good season last year, and I'm ready for this. I will try to give everything on the pitch to be at my best level and to do a very, very big season.
Liverpool versus Bournemouth is live and exclusive to talkSPORT from 7 p.m. Now, Morecambe have been informed by HMRC about a winding up petition against the club. They're currently suspended by the National League because of financial issues, but if a planned takeover goes ahead, Morecambe are confident of settling their debts. On to boxing, and Eddie Hearns told us Anthony Joshua wants a big heavyweight fight out in Ghana next, but a mismatch contest with Jake Paul in the US looks more likely.
This is a bit like, you know when you used to tune in to watch David Blaine and see if he could get out the box or not, and it's like, is he going to be all right? I don't know. This is like that. But I said to Jake Paul, you ain't in a box, mate, and this ain't David Blaine. I said, so just be careful, because AJ will take your head clean off your shoulders.
And Freddie Flintoff's putting his considerable heft behind a campaign to help more hospitals get helipads. He was airlifted to St George's in South London after that crash at the Top Gear test track. Flintoff said the helipad on the roof there was vital in helping to save his life.
talkSPORT News.
A memorial service will take place this lunchtime to mark the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II. And Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin will meet in Alaska for their first face-to-face talks since 2019. Amelia's back at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Heatwave outside, oven inside. Stay cool this summer with a free aircon check. Book online or visit your local QuickFit today.
In Scotland, light rain and the odd shower. Cloudier in northern parts. Bright and sunny across most of England and Wales, and very warm.
It's talkSPORT, Sam Matterface with Alex Crook and Troy Deeney. We're here through to 1 o'clock this afternoon. Remember, tonight the Premier League season gets underway. 8 o'clock is Liverpool against Bournemouth. It's exclusively live on talkSPORT. Both teams will pay tribute to Andre Silva and Diogo Jota before kick-off tonight, as will every game in the Premier League this weekend. We've got Aston Villa against Newcastle, live and exclusive tomorrow lunchtime as well for you. We're round the grounds throughout the afternoon with Adrian Durham, Game Day Live. Game Day Live returns on Sunday. The Sunday session becomes Game Day Live this season. We'll be at Old Trafford as we take you round the grounds on Sunday. And on Monday night, we've got Monday Night Football, Leeds against Everton. That's exclusively live on talkSPORT. And Troy Deeney will be with me at Ellen Road. And so too will Aaron Lennon as well. Looking forward to that. Let's just talk a little bit about the Keith Andrews interview that we had just moments ago. Premier League All Access, you gave him a bit, didn't you? You weren't very complimentary about him. In fact, you were quite disparaging, I thought.
Listen, it's nothing personal. I just said that I think Brentford have taken an unnecessary risk hiring a rookie manager.
Were you more impressed having listened to him speak? Because actually he even leant across to me and said to me, oh, doesn't he speak well?
No, he does speak well. And listen, I speak to people in the game. They tell me what a good coach he is and what a good guy he is as well. I don't doubt that. But I think it's a massive job for anybody following Thomas Frank, who'd obviously been there for so long, was part of the fabric of Brentford. Then you factor in they've lost Brian Mbeumo. They're going to lose Johan Wisser as well. They've lost their captain, Christian Norgard. And listen, if he succeeds and keeps them up, I think he's worked miracles. I think if they finish 17th, that's a brilliant effort from Keith Andrews.
Yeah, yes, but ultimately you're forgetting also that they bought in Queven Keller, who is a very capable goalkeeper that everyone was.
I think they've improved in the goalkeeper era. Yeah,
they bought in Jordan Henderson into the middle of
I'm not convinced by that.
Well, it's an experienced player that's replacing a captain in Christian Norgard, who gives you the influence and experience of winning the Premier League.
Does he have the legs?
Well, you're about to find out.
It's a small pitch as well, isn't it, at Brentford? Believe it or not, that actually plays a factor in those games.
But can I ask you, is there a little bit of, you've got to pick someone to be the team that you're going to tip for relegation that isn't the promoted three, so everyone looks at the team that actually have replaced internally rather than going out and getting a big-name manager? Is that not the easy sort of way of making an assessment?
But it is, but Keith alluded to it there as well. Like, he understands it, he gets it. If he was in our shoes, he'd probably say the same thing. So he's not taking it personally. I think, for me, it's interesting that everyone forgets that no one knew who Thomas Frank was when he was helping out with Dean Smith and they promoted internally. No one knew Thomas Frank would go on to be as good as he is other than Brentford. So clearly Brentford have seen something in Keith that they go, right, we can build with this guy and we're going to help him. I think the biggest story for me, again, we've had Liverpool and Isak's been the talking point of this whole summer. No one's talking about the disruption that Newcastle are doing to Brentford. Keith will be looking to try and get Visser in. He said he wants to keep him. We can't play him this weekend because Visser's head's turned now because he wants to go to Newcastle. And no one's... Do you know what I mean? I think it's very much, that's unfair from Liverpool to do that to Newcastle. But what about Newcastle doing that to Brentford?
Yeah, it's just what we were saying a little bit earlier on about the natural order of things, isn't it? It's that there is a sort of unsaid hierarchy in terms of clubs in the Premier League, all of which are trying to get further up.
And also the knock-on effect as well.
Exactly. They go further down the food chain.
Brentford to Bournemouth.
So Liverpool poach Newcastle's players. Newcastle poach Brentford's players. Brentford take Bournemouth's players. Bournemouth go into France and take half of their players. That's the way that football works. And maybe you sort of have to get used to this. We talked about captains. Jordan Henderson might not be the Brentford captain, I don't know. But he's certainly a captain's figure. And I wonder how important it is to be a captain, because the Arsenal great Tony Adams has claimed that Arsenal will not win the league with Martin Odegaard as the captain. On this programme yesterday, Simon Jordan hit back at Tony Adams for his take on Odegaard, who's been the skipper since 2012. The quote from Tony Adams is, come on... 2002, sorry, 22. Tony Adams did say this.
He's got a really big call to make this year, and for me, he hasn't done it. And the call is to make Declan Rice the captain. So I think Declan is my kind of captain, and what it might do, it might free Odegaard up to play with a bit more freedom. As a manager, you have to put someone that reflects you, that reflects the football club, that you think you can actually take it to the next level.
Does he reflect Arteta?
Odegaard
Does Declan Rice reflect Arteta?
I think he's better than Arteta. I think he's a winner. He's got standards, he's got principles. So going on and winning leagues, to win league titles, you have to be a Klopp, you have to be a Ferguson, you have to lead by example, you have to be a winner, you have to go about your business, and that reflects in your captain. And by making Odegaard a captain is a reflection of Odegaard and of Arteta, and I can really see that. And I'm seeing Declan Rice as a captain, but I'm saying to Arteta, come on, step up now. It's your time to be a winning manager and a fantastic manager, because you're not going to win the league with Odegaard as captain.
We jumped around a lot there. I think that's a series of different clips all put together, so it doesn't necessarily flow as maybe it should. So I want to be fair to Tony there. But actually, has he got a point, do you think, Troy? How important is the role of captain? Does it make that much difference in a Premier League team?
Yeah, I do think it's captain. I'm not just saying that obviously because I was a captain in the Premier League. I do think it plays a key part. I think the key piece that Tony's missing out on there is that fundamentally, if they take the armband off Odegaard and Odegaard's still in the building, that creates more problems, because you're basically saying that you can't lead this team. By taking that off him and giving it to Declan Rice, we feel that what you did was okay, but there's someone who's better at the job. Now, how does that impact Odegaard? Tony Adams, again...
But if they believe that, if they believe that Declan Rice is better for the job, it's the manager's responsibility to be able to make that transition in an effective way.
But the manager's responsibility is to take care of the whole team. And this is the bit that's getting lost. So when So Aubameyang was the captain and was top goal scorer. When he made the call to get rid of Aubameyang and take the captaincy away from him, it was for the benefit of the team, not benefit of one person. And I think when you're talking about it, I think Declan Rice personally is a future England and Arsenal captain in the making. He's had a great schooling with Mark Noble, Kevin Nolan at West Ham. He's seen what it's like to be a leader at a huge club in West Ham. But I think when Martin Odegaard is still there, it's very difficult to take it away from him without affecting him. And Tony Adams alluded to it there, it gives Odegaard a freedom to go and play. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It makes him question everything he's been doing that's not good enough. So I disagree with Tony on that one. Again, Odegaard is more of a captain in what he does. He's fit, he's available, he trains the hardest, he's the one who sets the press. All of that great stuff. He's the leader on the pitch. You see him telling Declan at times what he wants or how the team should be. Again, I think it's a bit harsh.
But if you think that a captain is that important and can make that much of a difference, with Arsenal finishing second in the last 3 years and needing that little bit of edge to get over the line, is it not imperative on the manager to make a change like that if he believes that change could make the difference to them winning the title or not?
They've not finished second because Martin Odegaard wore the captain's armband. They finished second because they didn't score enough goals last season. And yes, his form after injury maybe contributed to that, but the main factor in them keep finishing second is because Mikel Arteta until now has been too stubborn to sign a striker. You say they didn't flow very well. Flowed about as well as one of Tony Adams' team talks, from what I'm told, when he was this is a guy who had Wickham 17th in League Two when he left the club. He was sacked by Portsmouth after taking 10 points from 16 games.
He knows what it's like to be a Premier.
But for him to start criticising Mikel Arteta, who's a far better manager than Tony Adams will ever be,
but I think he wasn't criticising him, he was asking him to make a change.
Yeah, he said he wasn't a winner.
But he isn't so far, is he? He hasn't won the Premier League, and you've criticised him for that.
I think he's taken Arsenal to a great point. I think he needs to get over the line, but I think Tony Adams' critique there is really harsh. And also, I think he's talking about captains in an old school manner. He's talking about himself. He's talking about Roy Keane. He's talking about John Terry. You don't have captains like that anymore.
No, but again, just to go back to your actual question, I think if you talk about Declan Rice being the captain and does that get you over the line? You can't account for Saka getting injured. You can't account for the centre-backs getting injured. The captain can't do that. And again, what Tony was trying to say is that basically the captain should be a follow-on from the manager. So it should be the manager's identity off the field should be then replicated on the field by that. I think that is in Odegaard. Arteta is intense, works hard every day, looking for the little 1%. I think Odegaard does that. I think the bit that is really interesting is if he was able to pose the question. Well, Tony Adams wasn't that for Wenger, was he?
Well, it wasn't a reflection of Wenger, no.
There you go. So, but it still
was the counterpoint.
But it still worked.
It did work. And actually, Declan Rice is actually going to work as a captain, whether he's got the armband in or not. He's going to drive the team forward. He's going to hold people to account. He's going to deliver it.
Yeah, but that's just being a good teammate, is it not?
Of course it is. That's what he's like. So you don't necessarily need to give him the armband in order to achieve that. Yeah. The thing about the Tony Adams thing is obviously he's a great ambassador for Arsenal. Everybody knows him and they relate to him. I don't necessarily think he was criticising Arteta, and you've criticised Arteta a lot. What he was trying to do was think of ways that they could improve. We all know that the biggest thing they need to do is get a goal scorer who puts the ball in the back of the net. In Victor Gyökeres, they think they have done that.
Well, we all know. The thing is, you have to be the most consistent team throughout the whole 10, 11 months of play, and that's what it has to be.
They've got to start better than they did last year.
Exactly. So, what's happening is with Arsenal, and I actually feel sorry for Arteta in this regard, it's the small 1% now. Yeah. It's really difficult to improve that starting 11 without losing squad depth. It's really difficult now to go find the perfect striker because we've heard it with Haaland, and now Arteta's actually said this in regards to Gyökeres, is we have to change the way we play for these types of striker. So it is a situation where it's very difficult for them to improve.
And I'm not sticking up for Tony, and I'm not saying what he said was right. But what I'm just giving you balance because, you're being brutal. But the fact is that he is looking for that 1%, isn't it? That's what he's trying to say.
And the thing is, you could do that, and it might not work. But the beauty of it for being Tony Adams, for being us, is we get to say what we think, and Arteta's the one who's judged on it.
Yeah. Just final word on this, because I know you've got to hit the break. Is it not a little bit disrespectful to Declan Rice to suggest that he doesn't lead because he's not wearing the armband?
We didn't say that.
No, only you've said that. But I think
that's the interpretation.
I think it's your interpretation. I think it's more disrespectful to Odegaard that we are somehow painted in this that he could take a takeaway from Odegaard could be the reason we haven't won it over the last couple of years is because of your leadership.
Well, that's what Tony is saying.
But I'm saying that's so much more disrespectful than what you're talking about with Declan Rice.
Well, the other question is actually, did Odegaard have his best season last year with Arsenal? And probably the answer is no.
He wasn't fit, was he, when he came back?
100% fit. For probably the second half of the campaign.
No.
Anyway, we will talk about their first game of the season, which is Manchester United. But Crookie and I will be there at Old Trafford on Sunday for Game Day Live. We're underway at 1:30 as we take you around the grounds on Sunday. And Arsenal, Manchester United will preview that in the next few moments because both of them have invested heavily in the attack department in the summer. This is talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com. Okay, the NFL returns to Wembley in October. The Los Angeles Rams take on the Jacksonville Jaguars, and our competition to win VIP tickets is now open. That's right, we're giving you the chance to win 6 seats in a private box at Wembley Stadium with full hospitality, plus £5,000 spending money as well. All you have to do to enter is text the word cash to 83338 and you're in the draw. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You must have the bill payer's permission, or you can enter for free by calling 0330 880 338. And all entries must be received by the 25th of August at 11 p.m. It's 18 plus, UK excluding Northern Ireland, and it's a TalkSport Limited promotion run on TalkSport, Talk and Virgin UK stations. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com. You love your NFL, don't you? You're ready for your fantasy draft, are you?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Ready to go.
Geeking out buying American magazines when I saw you in New York, making sure you're fully prepared.
So you don't need to tell everyone the tricks, but we've got some inside info, and it's good for Crookie to actually get off the phone and be part of the team as well. So,
Mate, working on transfer stories, the window never sleeps, does it? The window never sleeps.
A bit like you, actually. Listen, both sides have invested heavily in their attack department this summer. I'm talking about Manchester United and Arsenal, who clash at 4:30 on Sunday. Benjamin Šeško hit 21 goals in all competitions for RB Leipzig last season, 39.87 overall. But he's more of an aggressive, press from the front, workhorse, big team player. Gyökeres, 39 league goals, 79.83 in the Premier League and the Champions League. He's more of a goal scorer. He's in at Arsenal. Compare the two for me.
Oh, well, I've done a big piece about it in the Sun, which you can read tomorrow. But I think both of them work for both clubs, but they're very different players. I think when you look at Man United, their work rate and what Amorim wants is the identity is based on pressing high, getting up the pitch. I think the problem for Amorim and this Man United team is that extra midfielder who's going to be the other six, who's got the legs and the energy to get around. And can that back 3 or 5, depending on how it is, be really aggressive and high up the pitch? I think where their problems have came is because they're not pressing high up top. And because there's no pressure on the ball, the defenders are dropping off, which is killing the midfield. So I think it works for both. I'm just not convinced that Gyökeres is going to get, the 30, 40 goals that Arsenal think he's going to get. I'd be interested to know what Arsenal fans think he needs. What's the realistic number he needs to hit for them to get over the line?
What number do you think he's going to get? Because 20 Premier League goals, and I have this all the time, me and Crook
it's
talk
difficult.
About it. It's hard. You have to be elite to get 20 Premier League goals. Go back over the course of the last few years. 5 actually got 20 goals last year, but that is a weird season. There was 3 the year before, 3 the season before that, 2 the season before that,
and the winner
2 the season before that.
But the winners of the Premier League had those guys.
Absolutely.
And that's the point I'm trying to get. It's
in
not,
most seasons.
It's not disputing that, get to 20 is difficult. That's just a given. My point is, when you look at the teams around, I think Chelsea will feel that they've got a 20-goal striker in Pedro at this moment in time. I know he's not done it yet, but the way that he's playing, the team they've got, they will feel they've got a 20-goal scorer in there. Haaland, obviously, at Man City, who I think is going to have a year that just reminds everybody why he's the poacher that he is.
Because nobody's really talking about that. I mean, you talked about it quite heavily on the All Access preview podcast, but you're right. You're talking about golden boots. He's the favourite with the bookies.
Yeah.
A lot of people are sort of touting Gyökeres, and I've touted João Pedro, as you have there. Nobody's really talking about Erling Haaland. And in his bad season, he got how many goals last year?
Over 30 goals last year in a bad season. So for me, I think that's where I'm comparing Gyökeres. Like, are you going to score more than Salah at Liverpool? I don't know. Are you going to score more than Isak if Isak goes to Liverpool? Absolutely not. So that's where I just start to think, if they're going to get over the line, they need somebody that scores 25.
And everyone has recognised that it's a bit of an arms race and they need to restock in that department because goals are the currency that everyone deals in. Gyökeres obviously in at Arsenal. Broja's gone to Burnley. Chelsea have bought in Liam Delap and João Pedro. Everton have bought Tierna Barry. Hugo Ekitike in at Liverpool. They're probably going to get Isak as well. Sesko and Mbeumo, Cunha at Manchester United. Igor Jesus at Forest. Mark Gay's gone to Sunderland. Callum Wilson is in at West Ham United. Which of the new Premier League number 9s is going to have the biggest impact?
That's a great question. I mean, you did well to shoehorn Armando Broja onto that list. It wasn't here. that is for sure.
His name is Alex Crook, by the way. If you're Keith Andrews, Armando Broja or Tony Adams.
Well, I will say in your defence, and I've said this on my own podcast, like when I watched Broja last year, kick the floor and injure himself, at that point there's no saving it. You have to say now he has to deliver for Burnley. He's had 3 or 4 loans and every time he's got back injured.
So the question is, which one is going to make the biggest impact?
We both agree that it's not going to be him.
And I think we might both agree of those new number 9s, it's going to be João Pedro. You look at how quickly he settled in at Chelsea. He'd only been in the building a couple of days when he made his debut in the Club World Cup, scored a goal. I think he's really motivated because he wants to be Brazil's number 9. He didn't have a great year last year. I'm not sure he ever really saw eye to eye with Fabian Hertzler. I think he needs Enzo Maresca to put his arm around the shoulder. He needs to know that he's the main man. I think he will be. Obviously, with Liam Delap rotating in at times, I think he can get 20 Premier League
And where
goals.
can that take Chelsea? Because only Liverpool and Arsenal had a better defensive record last season than the Blues. What they need is goals. He got 30 and 70 for Brighton, 3 and 3 at the Club World Cup.
If they can maintain, because obviously they had a late end to the season, we got into the final of the Club World Cup, and then a really quick turnaround and start. If they can maintain that intensity, I think Chelsea are up there. I would say it's Liverpool, Chelsea, if you based it on if they can stay fit, healthy, and keep that intensity. Because I think they've got arguably the best squad in the Premier League. When you look player for player, double up in every position, I think Chelsea are excellent. The only bit you could... I think so. If you look from an attacking point of view.
But attacking point of view, yes. I think
midfield, have arguably got the best midfield.
I think defensively they're a little bit short.
It's just the 2 centre-halves. You're talking centre-halves and goalkeeper, which is with the point I was going to get to.
I think this could be quite an entertaining season, And I was with a couple of ex-players playing golf the other day, and they were saying, from their perspective, these were players who played in the 90s, and they found modern-day football a bit of a turn-off, and they quite like the fact that this season you're going to see crosses into the box, you're going to see big number 9s trying to get on the end of them. And actually, barring Arsenal, there's defensive frailties about all the big teams. We saw it at Wembley last week with Liverpool. Chelsea, I think the centre-back area is probably their weakest part of the team.
Just on that,
Manchester United are going to concede goals, but they're all going to score goals as well.
Just a bit of breaking news on the Chelsea thing. We understand that Enzo Maresca has actually advised the club to try and get a bit of cover, and I think he'll be talking about that a little bit later on as well.
But they've also got Fofana back as well.
Suggesting to go internally, so he's asking for replacements and reinforcements, and they're saying you've already got enough. That could hamper them. What about some of these other strikers that have also come in to the squad? I mean, look at Igor Jesus, Nottingham Forest, very strong on him. He's able. He was at Botafogo. He was always thought of as a little bit of a hidden gem.
How do you play him and Chris Wood in the same team, though?
Yeah, but I think maybe they're moving on from Chris Wood. And what I mean by that is I think Chris is great in the Premier League and he's had an unbelievable year last year. But you have to look at it from a hard statistical point of view. They overperformed last year, both attackingly and defensively. So they need a replacement. In Europe, can Chris, deliver and play his style of football? I'd argue not. He'll probably get sent off a lot with his elbows being high and things of that nature. I was just looking at it, Sam, and my notes are the two. And it's probably because they're low-hanging fruit. And what I mean by that is Man United would have got relegated any normal Premier League season last year. So Šeško being in, I think he moves them up 5 to 10 places, depending on how good of a season. So you'd have to say, impact-wise, that would be him. But I think if Sunderland stay up, I think it's going to be because of Mark Gahey. I think the way he plays, if he can keep him fit, he's an unbelievable striker. Had a little bit of groin problems last year, hamstring problems the year before. But I like what Sunderland have done, and I think if he can get you 10 to 15 goals, that'll keep Sunderland in the Premier League.
I think 10 to 15 goals would be amazing.
I think they might beat West Ham this weekend.
Yeah,
outside bet for Sunderland to start with a win.
Callum Wilson going in again. Love Cal, friend of mine. How fit is he going to be? How able is he going to be?
He's not featured, is he, in pre-season?
Nothing yet. So when you start looking at these, Chelsea again. I know you try to deflect because you don't want to put any pressure on them, but
we spent the whole of last year slagging off Enzo Maresca.
We probably should move on.
But João Pedro and Liam Delap, that's a solid front two. When you look at everybody else who's scrambling around to get one in, so I just think there's going to be a lot of upside for Man United and certainly for Sunderland.
Okay, well I hope there is a lot of upside for Manchester United because Crookie's backed them to finish in the Champions League places. When we come back, we'll be talking BetMGM and a little bit of Troy and Connor Ben. This is talkSPORT. It's Sam Matterface and Alex Crook with Troy Deeney. We're here till 1 o'clock with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com.
let's be honest, we've all found ourselves raging at a referee's decision at some stage. Something like this?
That is an absolutely shocking decision.
They've got a case in that it was a bad decision.
It's such a poor decision.
Yeah, I think he's just made a bad decision in that instance.
But what does it take to get to the very top level of football refereeing? You can apply to become a referee through your local county FA from as soon as your 14th birthday. After spending several hours either in the classroom or on the pitch, they'll grant you Level 7 status, which allows you to officiate amateur games. Then you'll work your way through the ranks of amateur football, not reaching the National League until Level 2. It's a long process, bearing in mind every level from 7 upwards takes an average of a year. Also, there's no specific number of games you have to ref or hours you have to log before moving on up. You simply just have to be good enough. Once you're Level 2 and have enough experience at a National League level, you can apply to the EFL to become a Level 1 referee. Then it's on you to get enough experience to climb through the ranks and eventually become a Premier League referee. In total, there are 37,000 registered referees across England, but the PGMOL has only deemed 21 good enough to officiate games in the top flight. So if you want to make it to the top, there's less than a 1 in 1,000 chance of doing it, and it'll take you a decade to get there.
Okay, talkSPORT, time to catch up with the latest odds, all thanks to BetMGM.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Get ready for the golden era of sports betting. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+gambleaware.org.
We welcome Dan Towles to the creche. Good morning. How are you, Dan?
Morning, Sam. Good, mate. Yourself?
Crikey, dealing with these two this morning is fun. One's grumpy because he's hungover from last night's beers, and the other one's turned up in a dirty T-shirt. Right, Dan Towles is here from BetMGM, looking sparkling and fresh as a daisy to look at today's top sporting events and discuss the latest odds. Liverpool-Bournemouth is our live fixture tonight, kicks off at 8 o'clock, and so does the Premier League season. What you got for us?
It does, yeah. Reigning champions open the Premier League season. Haven't lost on the opening day in 12 consecutive top-flight seasons, which has included 9 wins. But Bournemouth, they haven't got a bad record either. They're actually unbeaten in their last 7 with 3 wins and 4 draws on the opening day. You'll think we'll see the likes of Ekatike, Verts and ex-Bournemouth player Milos Kerkez, and actually they go into the game as the short price favourites. Liverpool around the 1-4 mark. Bournemouth now a little bigger than they were first thing this morning at 8-1 with a draw at just over 5s.
I think statistically, Opta has said that it is the hardest fixture of the weekend for any away side. That was always the case last year. They only lost once at home at Anfield, Liverpool. What about the rest of the sort of Premier League this weekend and over the course of the season, having sort of computed now all of the new signings and looked at the new acquisitions at the top end and bottom end of the Premier League? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I was going to look at obviously a lot of debates around the top of the table when your signings like Isak, etc., still bubbling in the background. But can I have a quick brief look at the Premier League newcomers? Sunderland kick off tomorrow, their first Premier League game since the 21st of May 2017. They spent some money this summer, and they were about 150 million with the likes of Granit Xhaka, and they also brought in Adingra from Brighton. Their first 3 games, I think, will go a long way to tennis their chances this season. They've got West Ham tomorrow, Burnley away next week, and then they host Brentford at the end of the month. They are just over 2-1 to win their game tomorrow against Graham Potter's side. Burnley's start looks a lot trickier with Man United, Liverpool, Man City and Spurs all before the end of September. Before that, they've got Spurs tomorrow, and they'll be hoping they can carry over their traits from their defensive record, which still amazes me when I look at it from last year when they just conceded 16 goals in 46 games. But they've lost James Trafford and the centre-back Egan Riley, who ended up at Marseille. So, as you expect, Spurs are long odds on with Burnley at just over 7-1. And then finally, Ellen Road on Monday night, Leeds v Everton. Last time these two met in Yorkshire ended in a 1-1 draw back in August 2022. Not a lot splits the teams in the market, which leads the only newcomer to come into their game as favourites at 6-4 of the 3 promoted sides. The 3-team treble to win this weekend is 66-1, but unfortunately the treble for them all to head straight back down is less than 3-1. Sam, of the teams who've come up, who do you think is best equipped to be heading into the new season?
Leeds United look as if they've invested in robust giants, physical giants, to try and get them over the line, but they don't have enough goals at the moment, so they're going to need to deal with that somehow. Sunderland have invested well. There's still a lot of young players there and a lot of untested personnel. Burnley, look, you already mentioned their defensive record last year, but I'm not sure that they can get over the line doing the same sort of thing this time around. They need goals as well. They've lost Josh Brownhill, who scored basically all of their goals last campaign.
They've got Bro here, though, so they'll be fine.
Your words, not mine. So it's going to be difficult for all of them. But listen, I think I said at the beginning of the season I thought Leeds would make the best fist of it, and I expect them to have a good go.
Yeah, they're 11 to 10 to go down. Sunderland 2-5, and Burnley 33-100. So the market suggests that the top 3 that come up last year will head straight back down. And Crookie, if you're interested, United at 50-1 to head into the Championship.
It was a bit shorter than that a while ago. So yeah,
when they were 17,
I've got no concerns. No concerns. Sunderland will stay up. What, they about 2-1 to stay up? I think that's a good bet.
2-5 to go down to stay up. Hold on, you're going to bear with me.
Come on, Dan, you got one job.
I think they're about 2.
You got one job, mate.
Oh dear, I mean it is Friday, guys. Come on, there's a little bit of sloppiness going on here. Come on, Dan, what have you got? Come on.
Oh God, hold on.
Oh, don't worry. Listen,
so we'll find it ourselves.
Match abandoned. We'll sort it out.
I'll speak to you afterwards quickly.
Yeah, cheers. Dear. Each week. Please do. Everyone's done their prep today. Each week we'll be placing a prediction of some of the upcoming games on Golden Goals. Do you want to do a quick explainer of what that is, because it's coming back for the new season?
It is. So our regular Friday feature, free-to-play game on the app, no deposit required, and you could win up to 500 grand if you correctly predict 6 correct scores in the Premier League this weekend. But there are other prizes available from 2 correct scores and above. But for you guys, we ask for you to predict a scoreline in one particular fixture, and any correct score that you get, we stick £500 in the pot, with the money raised throughout the season being donated to prostate cancer come the end of May. Sam, we've given you your beloved Chelsea, who host Palace.
Yes, you have. And having watched Crystal Palace last weekend, going to be difficult to break them down. I thought at one stage that Crystal Palace might lose Mark Gahey before the weekend, but I'm not sure that's going to be the case now. I still think Chelsea have got some firepower. They scored twice Liverpool last week, and actually Chelsea will be fitter and sharper because they're coming off the Club World Cup. I'm going to go 3-1 because I'm still not 100% convinced of Chelsea defensively. 3-1 Chelsea.
Okay, Chelsea not lost a game to Palace in almost 8 years, but this fixture's only ended in a 3-1 Chelsea once, in Chelsea win back in 1992. So history's on your side. I agree it'll be a Chelsea win, and 3-1 is 19-2. Crookie, been very bullish in previews about Man United, haven't we? And I think you have been as well with your prediction versus Arsenal this weekend.
Yeah, do you know what? I might have been getting a bit carried away. Adidas sent me the new away kit last night. Obviously, the season starts.
Did they have your size
this weekend? They did just about.
He had to ask the manufacturer because he couldn't get it off the store. That's the true story.
I'm gonna be there on Sunday alongside Sam, and having touted a draw all week. I don't think United will lose. But just because you caught me in a good mood this morning, despite what the man to my right is saying, I've gone for Manchester United to win 2-1. I'm hoping they can come out the blocks, blitz Arsenal early doors. Sheshko gets a goal, and it's a statement result at the start of the season.
Wow.
That's a big call. I mean, the last time they beat them 2-1 at Old Trafford was April 2018, and a certain Mr. Paul Pogba and Marion Fellaini scored for the home.
What do for those two now?
I know, tell me about it. But Arsenal only lost one of their last 6 Premier League meetings with United, and the last 2 competitive encounters have ended in a draw after 90 minutes. 2-1 United is also a 19-2. Troy, we've given you Brighton Fulham.
Yeah, again, starts off the same as last year. Give Troy the hardest games. I see what you're doing here, Dan. You can make an argument this is going to be a boring draw. I think Brighton need to get off to a better start than they did last year. So I'm going to just tip them to win it 2-1, just because I think Fulham haven't done a great deal in the market yet. Marco Silva will be frustrated with that. So, yeah, 2-1 Brighton, but could see a draw here easy.
Yeah, same result as when they met in March. João Pedro penalty in the last minute won it. Brighton have won their opening season 4 times in a row, and they're 7-1 to beat Fulham 2-1 tomorrow. So all 3 scores: Chelsea to beat Palace 3-1 is 19-2. Man United to beat Arsenal 2-1 is also 19-2, and Brighton to beat Fulham is 7-1. So it's around that 800-1 mark. But as we always say, let's try and win some money for prostate cancer. And Crookie, Sunderland to stay up is around 7-4.
There you go, 2-1. Told you.
He's great to be around, and thank you very much, Dan. We appreciate it. Cheers. If at any time you want to come in and help me try and manage these two, that's absolutely fine. That was a look at the latest odds, all thanks to BetMGM. Visit BetMGM or download the app today.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at BetMGM.co.uk. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Now, you may have seen it on your TV, or if not, it's been blowing up social media. Troy Deeney's appearance on Celebrity Who Dares Wins, and in particular the Slugfest with Connor Ben. Just explain the context for us before we sort of just have a quick discussion about
nice
it.
to see you're not flat on your back, actually, today for a change.
He hasn't even seen it, by the way. Just
He actually told me the wife was watching it, but I said I'm not watching Troy. I went to the pub, was his exact word. So, no, it's fine. Was never on my back, by the way, FYI. Yeah, obviously, everyone knows you do milling, which is the 2 contestants have to go up against each other. They don't tell you who you're fighting until you're there. So, I was a little bit nervous I'd have to fight Big Akin Fenwood, to be totally honest with you. But then I realised afterwards I was fighting Connor Ben, who at the time obviously was undefeated, obviously world level fighter, and yeah, just thought we'd have a bit of a tear up.
I mean, it was brutal. I mean, you did brilliantly. You did absolutely brilliantly. I mean, you stuck at him and you kept going at him, and if it had gone on much longer, then I think you would have probably have.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been much more of a boxing match. I probably would have tried to strangle him. But no, Connor's obviously great, and again, like we've become friends off it. I can respect and all of that. And look, I'm from the old school. You can have a fight, you can give each other a hit and whatever, but then afterwards you respectfully go each other's ways, and that was all part of the show. And
that's worth pointing out. Actually, you two still very much get on.
You just said us on the phone about half hour ago. So it's just. Look, it's part of the show, and the show's been fantastic for me personally. Strips you down to your bare bones. Obviously, when I did the show, just recently retired in a state of what next? Who am I going to be? What do I think? And those guys, the SAS, are so good, Sam, at just tapping into your nervous system and getting all these emotions out. And the fight with Connor is what you guys have seen so far. And I actually thought Connor might, hold back and be nice, but clearly he thought, I'll just take Troy's.
Well, neither of you did actually. There were people watching on. Yeah, everyone watching on was like, "Oh my word, how is this going to end?"
Yeah,
I mean, actually,
it ended up with me dropping.
But you nearly knocked him to the floor just before you went over, and it wasn't really a knockout. In fact, they called it a draw as a result of.
Connor's face is amazing though at that point, because you just see the level of. Like he wants to win, right? And again, I love being around athletes of any kind who are driven to win. And obviously afterwards, I'm just buzzing to get through it, to be totally honest with you. But Connor,
there you go, down there.
Connor obviously wanted to win and keep his unbeaten record. But somebody sent me a picture out in our family group saying on Box Rec, someone's put in Connor's lost to obviously Chris Eubank Jr. Then it says draw with Troy Deeney. So I thought it was quite fun. But again, the rest of the show is going on. I think it's on Sundays and Mondays. So yeah, watch out and you'll see. Hopefully, people see the other side to me. They hear my opinions and the way I play and think I'm, aggressive. But hopefully, you see the other side.
Yeah, they learn that, like we have, that you're a lovely guy,
big cuddly bear, really.
Yeah. I might actually do some of that kind of stuff on you if you said I was on my back again.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're on your knees.
And just to let the producers of that show know that Alex Crook is available for the next series. If you'd like to get in touch with him, it's at Alex Crook on Twitter. Right, okay. When we come back in the next few minutes, there's so much to talk about between now and 1 o'clock. What are we doing next? We're going to do... Oh, we've got loads of stuff from the press conferences this morning. There's some news coming in from around the grounds this morning, so we'll do that next. Our live game tomorrow to kick off our game day season on the Premier League is Aston Villa against Newcastle United. We're on air from 11 from Villa Park. We've got Gabby Agbonlahor and Stuart Pearce with Reshmin and I tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Full commentary to come. Eddie Howe has been speaking to the media in the build-up to that game, and he's got an update on the future of Alexander Isak.
No, there's been no change to the situation. All my focus has been on the training, on Aston Villa, on the transfer front in terms of trying to get players in. And you can imagine that is all-consuming for me. So Alex's situation's been unchanged for a while, and that will continue to be the case, I think. Yeah, I've had a great relationship with Alex. I think you need to have that partnership with every player. There's so many different emotions that players go through, and I always want to be there for them in every way. And me and Alex have enjoyed a great relationship. I don't think he'd have done as well as he's done without that, and without his teammates, and without the supporters and the backing of the whole football club. So he recognises that as well. He's a highly intelligent person, and he knows he wouldn't have had the success here without everybody connected with Newcastle.
Anthony Gordon went down in the last pre-season friendly, and everyone sort of panicked and thought it was a muscle injury. It's turned out that it was just a twist of the ankle. He should be okay, in which case would you start him as the false number 9 in that game tomorrow?
I think they will do. I don't like him in that position, if I'm being honest. I think he looks unnatural. I think if you look at the way Newcastle's team is set up, with Elanga and Gordon on either wing, that's pace, power, direct. It's not the popular choice. I give the young lad Oslu a chance. He did well in the FA Cup game, obviously against Birmingham City. He hasn't had a real opportunity yet, but I think maybe start him as a natural striker for the first 60 minutes. And if it's not working, then obviously you can put Gordon through the middle, and obviously Harvey Barnes will come in. And if they get Ramsey over the line, then Ramsey's another option off that left-hand side as well. But I just don't like Gordon through the middle. He doesn't look natural.
Game Day Live tomorrow with Adrian Durham comes from Sunderland Stadium of Light and their game against West Ham United. Also at 3 o'clock, Brighton against Fulham. Brighton had a really strong end to last season. They won the last 4 opening day fixtures, the best run of any current Premier League side. How are they going to get on tomorrow? And will they have Carlos Baliba in the squad? Let's hear from their manager, Fabian Herzler.
Very, very, very confident. Just my belief. I didn't see any change. He only changed his hairs, so I think that was the only change he made the last 2 weeks. But overall, he seems to be in a really good place. He's enjoying it with his teammates. He's enjoying it being a Brighton player. He's very grateful to have the process he had in the last season. So I didn't see any big change, and he's an option to start for tomorrow. Yes.
Alex Crook has broken more stories this summer than Troy Deeney's broken hearts. And you've been pretty strong on Carlos Baliba staying at Brighton, haven't you?
Yeah, I just don't see it's the type of deal that can get done this summer. Brighton value Baliba in the sort of Moises Caicedo bracket, certainly if he has another season this year like he did last, and I think they would want Caicedo type money. Tony Bloom has become the past master at selling when the time is right, and I think he feels the time is not quite right. And there's been a bit of misinformation as well. I mean, Fabian Herzler was saying there that Carlos Baliba hasn't been affected by the speculation. He's not the type of character, from what I'm told, to throw his toys out the pram if Brighton block this potential move to Manchester United. And there's been some reports that he's only earning $12,500 a week. Well, they paid £30 million for him, so if anyone believes that he's on $12,500 a week in the Premier League, then they're wrong. So I think Brighton are quite comfortable. I can see why Manchester United want him. As Troy said last week, what they're trying to do is get it done now, because I think, if he has a stellar season like he did last year, they won't be the only team at the table next summer. And that's another reason why Brighton will hold on to him and hope they can get some kind of bidding war.
Yeah, Tottenham have had a bit of problems getting in players for the new season. They certainly need that ahead of their season opener as well. They take on Burnley at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium tomorrow. Their new manager, Thomas Frank, fresh from the disappointment in midweek, says he does want to bring in new players.
In many ways, I'm very happy with the squad. I think there's a lot of good players. I think we saw a team that was very, very, very competitive, and on any other day we would have beaten the best team in Europe. Of course, we want as strong and competitive squad as possible. I know that Daniel, Johan and Vina are working night and day, and they have, by the way, been working night and day the last 6, 7, 8 weeks. and they definitely would like to do deals early. Sometimes I think we need to understand it's not that easy, but they're working.
Not kept a clean sheet in the last 13 Premier League games, Tottenham. They'll hope to keep one tomorrow against Burnley, and they'll hope to get some more players in before their next fixture.
Yeah, it's been a quiet summer, hasn't it, for Spurs? Missed out on a couple of targets, but I think there is money to spend. There will be money made available to Thomas Frank. Interesting to see if they get the Eberechi Eze deal over the line. I think he's open to it. He's open to staying in London and playing in the Champions League. But Palace drive a hard bargain, but they need numbers, don't they?
Game Day Live tomorrow, 2:30, around the grounds, including that game between Brighton and Fulham and Tottenham against Burnley. Sunday's Game Day Live will bring you the 2 o'clock kickoffs involving Nottingham Forest, Crystal Palace, Chelsea, Manchester United and Arsenal at 4:30 as well. Join us for that. Coming up in the next few minutes, we'll be joined in the studio by Alfie Allen, the actor from the Game of Thrones, about his new series. Still to come on talkSPORT.
Here are some of the best off-camera anecdotes from recent years at the Ryder Cup. As caddy Billy Foster went to relieve himself at the Belfry, he noticed only one of the two cubicles had toilet paper. Shortly after he'd sat down, Tiger Woods went into the empty cubicle and realised his mistake all too late. So Foster
a 2-minute silence in memory of the British service personnel who gave their lives for our freedom. That was a 2-minute silence to mark 80 years since the United Kingdom and its allies secured victory over Japan, which brought an end to the Second World War. The silence has also been observed by the King and Second World War veterans at a service of remembrance, which is taking place at the National Memorial Arboretum in Staffordshire. It's 2 minutes past 12 on talkSPORT. Here's Nick Ellaby with your sports headlines.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range, helping business owners to work better and live better.
At the Ryder Cup.
Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
At the Belfry, he noticed only one of the 2 cubicles had toilet paper. Shortly after he'd sat down, Tiger Woods went into the empty cubicle and realised his mistake all too late. So Foster took some paper, reached under the cubicle with a rescue offering, and as Tiger went to take it, Foster uttered the words, "Europe, one up." Fast forward 10 years to the miraculous Medina. Roy McIlroy overslept and was in danger of missing his Sunday tee time. Thankfully, travel organiser Erica Stoll sorted him a police escort, and 3 years later, McIlroy proposed. Scottish legend Sam Torrance tells many a yarn about the great Ballesteros. Apparently, Seve would regularly give coaching clinics to his European teammates. When the same players asked for help a week later at the Italian Open, Seve would tell them to Having started with a Billy Foster story, let's finish with one from the 12th tee at Oakland Hills in 2004. It was Jimenez and Garcia against Westwood and Clark in a practice round. And as they finished, Foster decided to jump in the buggy and speed away with all their clubs, only to lose control entirely and see it careering towards the spectators. Thankfully, the Red Sea parted and the buggy smashed into a tree, with viewers and clubs still intact.
It's talkSPORT, Sam Matterface, Alex Crook, Troy Deeney in the studio this morning. Sky's brand new series Atomic launches on the 28th of August. The series explores the unlikely friendship between Max and JJ, who become caught up in a cartel's plot to transport uranium across North Africa. This leaves the pair with a huge decision: save themselves or risk everything to stop a nuclear bomb from getting into the wrong hands. It stars Arsenal fan and Game of Thrones star Alfie Allen, and he's here now. Hi, Alfie.
Hello.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. What has you on the edge of your seat more? What has us on the edge of our seat more? Your new series or Arsenal's bid to try and finish higher than second and win the Premier League?
Oh, I think my heart tells me Arsenal are going to win the league, so I'm not on the edge of my seat at all about that.
Okay, all right.
It's going to happen. Do you know what I mean? But by far, definitely more Atomic. Yeah, it's definitely a crazy kind of wild ride of a show. So it's
tell us about it.
It stars me and Shazad Latif, and we're both kind of sort of outlaws in the deserts of North Africa, kind of plying our trade. And then we kind of get thrust into the situation of kind of transporting this uranium across a kind of sort of mad 7-8 day adventure. And it also stars Charlie Murphy, Brian Gleeson, and lots of other very, very cool people.
Troy, obviously TV star now. You know,
I saw.
SAS.
Along with Conor Ben.
He has a rider, obviously. And,
of course.
He has a rider.
Yeah.
On your rider, do you have to have a TV with access to whatever Arsenal are doing?
Yeah, I mean, also the golf as well. I can see that there's golf up on some of these monitors up here. So yeah, when I was in Morocco, that was definitely something I was doing.
Are you big into golf?
I'm big into golf. Yeah.
What's your birth?
The best score I've shot is 84.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Yeah.
That's very good. I do want to ask you, when you're reading over scripts and things are coming on your desk, what is it that makes you as an actor go, that's the project I want to choose? Obviously,
we see it in the sport aspect. Normally, it's I like the project, but the money's great. I'm surprising if that's not with you guys as well. But what makes you want to get your teeth into a project like Atom?
It depends. It depends kind of where I'm at in my life at that time. But you know, sometimes it's theatre, sometimes it's film, sometimes it's TV. But it just depends. I can't even really put my finger on kind of what it is. But yeah, you know, it's nice to kind of go and shoot in places like Morocco and shoot in places, really, really cool places. So that's definitely something that is attractive. But I mean, really, you know, when I sat down with Shazad, and also, you know, Gregory Burke, the writer, what he's done with what he did with 71, which is a great film. That's something that definitely drew me towards Atomic. But it's the people, you know. And then sometimes you don't meet all of the people until you start doing the job. So it's just about kind of getting.
Because we took this gig, me and Sam, before we knew we had to work with Alex.
Right.
If you'd known that, you know.
You'd known that, you'd have taken less money.
Did you get a chance to get to the Emirates very often?
Yeah, I've got a season ticket that I share with a load of other people. And so what have I got? The first match I've got this season is Man City.
Wow.
On the 21st, and I've got Fulham and Newcastle as well. So, and I've got a mate who can get me tickets as well.
You're an Arsenal fan, but your dad Keith, who we know from his career as an actor, Vindaloo, all the other stuff that he's done, he's a Fulham fan. So how do you allow that to happen?
Well, yeah, I shouldn't really admit this, but I was a United fan when I was a kid. And then when
most of them are from London anyway.
I know, I was definitely a glory supporter. Do you know what I mean? But it was. Yeah, I don't quite know how that happened, you know?
You were a Glory supporter, so what made you choose Arsenal?
We started to win. It was 97, 98. That's kind of when Wenger came in.
So you went over from United to Arsenal.
I did, because I moved into Islington. So I was like, I've got to start supporting my local team.
Obviously, this Mancunian here is a big... If you hadn't worked it out. 8 years ago, you were on Game of Thrones. Huge series, absolutely massive. Everybody knows you as Theon Greyjoy. How do you get away from that? I mean, because, like, you know, obviously you don't want to ever be pigeonholed into one role, but it's also such a massive honour to be involved in a project like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really sort of try to get away with it. It's just something that's a part of my life and will be for the rest of my life. You know, it was an honour, like you said, to be a part of a show like that, and. Yeah, I just don't. It's like Star Wars, you know. It's like, it's really that big, and I think kind of maybe I thought maybe it would kind of sort of fade away, the kind of attention of it. But the thing is, it's always being watched by new generations of fans. You know what I mean? Or it will be. So it's yeah, it's just great to be a part of.
How did you watch it, right? Because I don't know about you, but I didn't see it when it first came out. I was like very late to the party, locked down. There was nothing else to do.
Exactly the same, yeah.
And I watched it. I burned through it all. Like literally within a couple of months, I'd burned through the whole lot.
Mine was more of that whole concept of like, oh, I'm not watching something with dragons in and all of that type of stuff. And then my wife convinced me to watch it in lockdown, similar to you, and I was like, I ain't going to bed now until we get to the end of this series. And it was such an amazing series because you're trying to get attached to someone and that person would die and like, oh God, who's the next one? And you just kept going. It was such a good series. How was that for you? Did you know every aspect of it, or did it change along the way, the script?
I read the first 2.5 books, and then I started to realise I didn't want to preempt stuff. And I also realised that Dave and Dan, who are the showrunners, who I'm also doing a show with at the moment called Three Body Problems. So I'm back working with them again, which is great. And yeah, they started to create their own characters. And so I kind of knew the blueprint of what I thought I had for the books wasn't quite what it was more their interpretation. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I kind of...
Didn't they finish the series before... The guy who writes it, George Martin, before he finished the books.
He's not finished the books yet. I think the last book is yet to come out.
That's quite amazing. I know. The TV series became almost something of its own, independent production.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's great to be working with them again on Three Body Problem, which is cool. So
can we just get the fact we've got an Arsenal fan in here who said they're going to win the league, and we haven't ripped him a new one yet. What's happening? What's happening?
Come on, Gyökeres is going to kill it.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's Alex Crook.
You just say it every season though, because our own Perry Groves, we love him to bits, but he's the most blinkered Arsenal fan in the world, probably second only to Martin Keown actually. And he says every season, this is our year, and of course it never is, or it hasn't been for 20 odd years.
Yeah. I mean, we're back in with a shout for a long time. We weren't. You know what I mean? And now it could be happening. Who knows? But I do think Madueke, if we start him on the left, I love Martinelli, but I just think more of that kind of old school, having a left footer on the left wing, kind of swinging crosses in for like Gokieres. It could work. It's a plan B, which people say Arsenal haven't really had for a long time. Do you know what I mean? So
that's
maybe.
true.
I think you two are so harsh on Arsenal. 2017.
What have I done?
I mean, you got in trouble with your wife. She rang the show to complain about you having a
But
go.
I get in trouble just for waking up.
Fifth under Arsene Wenger in 2017. They finished 6th, 5th, 8th and 5th. And now they finished second, and going back further than that, they actually only finished second once when Spurs messed up.
That was Leicester when Leicester won the league.
Since 2005. So the fact that you're finishing second every year, that's got to be seen as steps being made forward. Right?
Absolutely, definitely. I think I do have faith in Arteta, and I say
for how long?
Yeah, I know that's the thing. It's like
so fickle, aren't we, as football fans?
I would love. I like Havertz. I like Gukierrez. I do think. I mean, Zubimendi just looks class. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how he affects the team. But I mean, we beat Real Madrid 3-1 at home, and then we draw with Brighton. I think the next game. Brighton are a good team. No disrespect to Brighton. Do you know what I mean? But it's just kind of very unpredictable.
Just on that though. So if again Arteta now goes for this whole the whole next season, we're sat here this time next year. They haven't won something again. I do have this feeling that the Arsenal fan base will start to change. I think there's rumblings of it at the moment that they feel they need to win something, which is fair. Yeah. But how long do you think he lasts if he doesn't win anything this season?
Oh, I don't know, man. That is my answer could be controversial here, but I think I mean I'd say as long as we're getting Champions League, then it's all good. But I mean, like Liverpool
should have just kept Wenger then, shouldn't they?
I know, yeah, exactly.
That's all they've got to do.
Liverpool, City are looking so good. I think United might even look good this season, but I don't know. I mean, I say if we don't win the league in the next 2 or 3 years, then it's time to maybe think about
2 to 3 years. Love it.
You got to win something, though. I mean,
yeah, totally.
He's got that one.
Can't be having Tottenham winning the Europa League.
And he's got that one FA Cup behind closed doors. Eric Ten Hag, much maligned, has won double the number of trophies that Mikel Arteta did.
Well, I was waiting for Manchester United to get a mention.
Yeah, somehow.
No, but I love the faith that Arsenal fans show in Arteta, but I just wonder if it's misplaced.
You don't get on with him, do you? You don't.
He's okay.
I quite like him. I think he's got. I think he's got a lot about him, and he's he's connecting with the fan base, and he's connected with the club as well. The club is very much sort of doesn't revolve around him, but he's a big part of it now.
Yeah, totally. I'd agree.
Are you a fan of North London Forever? That gets a bit of sticking.
Oh,
it's called The Angel.
Song. Yeah, I love it.
Oh. It's called The Angel. Get the title right. Do your research. Right, okay, Alfie. Thank you very much. Good luck with the new show. We'll tune in Sky. It comes out on the 28th of this month. Yeah. Okay, we'll look forward to that. Thank you very much for coming on. Streaming on now as well. So if you want to watch it, you can check out Alfie and his new series, Atomic. It's one hell of a ride. This is talkSPORT. We'll take you on one hell of a ride this weekend. We've got Liverpool, Bournemouth tonight, Aston Villa, Newcastle tomorrow. We're round the grounds with Adrian on Saturday. Crookie and I will do it on Sunday, and then Monday Night Football is Leeds against Everton. This is the place to be.
We all like the NFL in this studio, and in October the Los Angeles Rams take on the Jacksonville Jaguars, and our competition to win VIP tickets is now open. That's right, we're giving you the chance to win 6 seats in a private box at Wembley Stadium, full hospitality, plus £5,000 in spending money. And to enter, all you have to do is text the word cash to 83338. Then you get in the draw. The text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You have to have the bill payer's permission, or you can enter for free by calling 0330 880 338. All entries must be received by the 20th of August at 11 p.m. 18 plus, excluding Northern Ireland. It's a Virgin Radio, talkSPORT and Talk competition, a talkSPORT limited promotion, and full T's and C's are available at talksport.com. Bit of controversy about the signing for West Ham of Callum Wilson. Mikel Antonio is their leading Premier League goal scorer with 68. He's been speaking to Alex Crook and says the West Ham fans should cut Callum Wilson a little bit of slack.
To be fair, like, the podcast was fun and it was all a bit banter between me and him. So I feel like he's going to be there. He's giving his all for the club, all for the shirt. I feel like the West Ham fans should support him. He's a good friend of mine, and like, he is a quality player. All we need to do is try and keep him fit. If we keep him fit, he'll guarantee bring goals to the club. So just back the boy, and it's come from me.
And it'll be nice to see him score for West Ham instead of against them, because he usually does that.
He scores all the time. So I feel we've saved points. We've saved points, and we've saved goal difference by him being on our team. Being on the team now. I said our team, not even there anymore. Yeah. But yeah, so like, it's definitely helped us out by doing that, and he is quality. He is definitely quality, and he's definitely going to do some good bits.
This all generated a little bit of social media traction because of Callum and Mikel having the podcast,
their
bit of banter between the two of them, or whatever. But if you look at the bare statistics, Callum Wilson missed 57 games with 3 separate hamstring injuries, a back injury, a chest injury, a calf problem, and an illness. He's only scored 9 Premier League goals in the last 2 seasons. Can you understand the scepticism? I know you've been close to him. You speak to him.
I know both of the lads. Yeah.
So what are you expecting for him to produce next season?
Again, Mikel hit the nail on the head. When Callum's fit, he scores goals. He offers a lot for the team. I think. Well, I know this actually. He won't mind me saying it. A harsh part of the decision for Callum was going in his friend's place. That was really part of the thinking. He didn't want to go in there if it was going to, ruin Mikel's chances of getting a contract. That obviously played out the way it has. And then obviously he's more comfortable now going in because West Ham had moved on from Mikel. But it was definitely their friendship and their brotherhood is clearly evident to see. It is a bit of jest. It is a bit of football banter between, when it was at Newcastle. But I think also that the stats are unfair because even when he was fit and available, Newcastle had Isaac. Yeah. It's very difficult to take somebody out who scored 20-odd goals last year in the Premier League. So Cal will do well. I think it's risky for West Ham. If I'm being totally honest, to have both Callum and Fulkrug as your 2 centre forward. Both of them have injury problems. Both of them in their 30s. I do think they need to look at getting a third and possibly a younger one as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because the deal that he's signed, Callum, as I understand it, is a relatively minimal wage. A lot of it is performance related. The more minutes he plays, the more money he earns. So in that respect, I think it's quite sensible. I know his agent has been trying to take him to West Ham for a number of years. When he's fit, I think he's quality. He's a pest for defenders. He scores all kinds of goals. But I take on board Troy's point. But by all accounts, Graham Potter's pretty content with what he's got up top. That's not necessarily the area of the team that he's most focused on. And again, if Fulkrug stays fit, we all thought that was a great signing at the start of last season, but he just didn't play enough minutes, did he?
Well, if he's got Fulkrug fit, Callum Wilson can stay fit, and Jarrod Bowen can keep scoring the number of goals that he did. He scored in West Ham's final 4 Premier League games last season and is in a particularly good vein of form. He's been brilliant for them. Without him, I don't know where they would have been last campaign. Then I suppose he has got the options up.
And Paquetá as well is going to be a different player. He had that cloud hanging over him last year mentally.
But also, you got to remember as well, there was that moment was it Fulkrug hammered the team. And Graham Potter didn't like that, did he, as well? So you still got that little bit of element of, are them two on the same page now? So, look, I think, for me, I think West Ham are going to struggle this year. I hope they don't, because they're a massive club, and I love, everything about West Ham history-wise and to modern day. But I do think there's question marks about Graham Potter. I do think there's question marks about the transfers. And I think for the first time in a while, that bottom 3 to 5 teams is up for grabs.
Well, they go to Sunderland tomorrow, opening day of the season. Obviously, Granit Xhaka is now the captain of the club. He's going to bring a little bit of a different outlook to the heart of that midfield as well. They've got new signing Mark Guéhiu, who's on loan from Chelsea.
Adingra.
Let's have a quick word, Adingra as well. Quick word about that fixture, because you think that West Ham could end up losing, and actually they've struggled on the opening day of the season.
Yeah, and it's a tough start away from home against a newly promoted team. That the place is going to be buzzing because obviously it's been, 8 years since Sunderland graced the Premier League. And actually listening to Dan Towse during the betting preview earlier, listing their first 3 games, I immediately stuck Simon Adingra in my fantasy team because I think he's a bit of a wild card, but I think he's shown on his day that he has real talent. He has real talent to stretch defences, to turn defence into attack. That was something you picked up on the All Access preview podcast. If they can get him firing, and he has the capability to score goals, to create goals.
You said Tony Bloom is a genius, doesn't make many mistakes, and he's allowed him to leave.
Yeah, but I mean, they've just got a lot of players, Brighton, in that position, and it was a decent offer that Sunderland came in with. So I don't think necessarily this will be a mistake, even if he does well at the stadium.
But I also think different ends of the spectrum. I think Adingra going in at Sunderland, he's got to play every week. He didn't do that at Brighton. When he did play at Brighton, while he was good, his end product was questionable at times. There was times, we worked certain games and the manager was so frustrated with him not tracking back and having that little bit of a luxury lifestyle that Brighton don't want. They want everyone working together. So I think at Sunderland, when you've got the likes of Granit Xhaka in, Granit will go, well, actually, he can win us 4 or 5 games. The rest of us are going to have to pick up the hard yards, give him the ball every time. He's allowed to make mistakes, and he'll be the match winner.
You like the recruitment that Sunderland have done, and they needed goals because Wilson Isidore got 13 last season. Mayenda got 12 last season. This is a side that finished 24 points behind Leeds and Burnley. They had to do a lot of business in order to catch up, even to those two.
And the players that they've lost as well, right? Joe Bellingham being the most notable of that. I think it's really difficult to explain to people the difference in being 20-odd goals in the Champ and 20-odd goals in the Prem. It's light years. And, my concern...
How much harder and why?
You don't get as many chances, first and foremost. Not as many midweek games. So when you got 3 games in a week in the Championship, you normally, as a striker, you're looking forward to the Tuesday games because people are tired. They're going to make more mistakes. They're going to rotate. You'll always get an opportunity. You'd probably get 5 to 6 shots in the Championship per game. In the Prem, if you get 3, you're lucky. And in those 3, you've got to score, especially when you're the team that just comes up from being in the Championship. But I also felt last year was a poor season for the Championship. No one scored 20 goals in the league, not even Peru at Leeds. Again, in my day, a few years back, it was a given that 4 or 5 would score 20 plus. So I think they've got to step up. I think Isidore's okay, but he's got a lot of work to do if he's going to take them and keep them up.
The one thing that does interest me is the goalkeeping situation, because obviously they've been keen to recruit a new keeper all summer. They've got one in now. Yeah. Is that a bit harsh on Anthony Patterson, who's done so well for them in the lower divisions and had opportunities to maybe move to the Premier League and didn't take them?
No, absolutely not. It's part of the business. I get frustrated with the teams that have come up because they're too loyal to the teams that got up. Again, I can only go off my experiences. The second you come up, the level change is so different that you have to go, right, we have to have competition and better players in every position.
You've got to get the right balance, though, haven't you? Because Ipswich spent a lot of money and changed the entire team last year. It didn't work.
Did they?
I remember when Bournemouth came into the Premier League, they basically kept the same back 4, and Adam Smith is still there now, that came up with them from
But they, again, the teams that came up were better than where they're at now. they had the Callum Wilsons who we just spoke about. They had better players in there. You're talking about Ipswich, with great respect. They had Sam Morsey playing centre midfield.
Yeah, and in context, although they spent 120 million quid, they're also playing catch up from the fact that they had just come up from League One the previous season. They had a lot of loan players before that, and they had to replace them.
You've got to be ruthless. And it's not nice to say because all the lads will go, I worked from Ipswich League One all the way through, or for Sunderland. Even Luke O'Nien, a friend of mine, probably won't play the Premier League. He's been great for them. It's part of the business.
If you want to have your say, 03717223344. Sunderland against West Ham is where Adrian Durham is based tomorrow afternoon, 2:30. Making sure that you get everything you need, the fastest goal service on the radio, 2:30 on Saturday afternoon. Game day live. Still to come. We're going to talk about I can't wait for this. We've got some law changes and some focuses to talk about the referees, what the referees are going to be.
FA Sam is ready.
Look, you
He's
can't
ready.
wait, can you?
He sent me a WhatsApp this morning.
Yes.
I sent it to you both.
I've not read it.
No, you haven't. You haven't. But he came straight back to me and he went, I want to talk to you about this.
Yeah.
We'll do that next.
Let's be honest, we've all found ourselves raging at a referee's decision at some stage. Something like this?
That is an absolutely shocking decision.
They've got a case in that it was a bad decision.
It's such a poor decision.
Yeah, I think he's just made a bad decision in that instance.
But what does it take to get to the very top level of football refereeing? You can apply to become a referee through your local county FA from as soon as your 14th birthday. After spending several hours either in the classroom or on the pitch, they'll grant you Level 7 status, which allows you to officiate amateur games. Then you'll work your way through the ranks of amateur football, not reaching the National League until Level 2. It's a long process, bearing in mind every level from 7 upwards takes an average of a year. Also, there's no specific number of games you have to ref or hours you have to log before moving on up. You simply just have to be good enough. Once you're Level 2 and have enough experience at a National League level, you can apply to the EFL to become a Level 1 referee. Then it's on you to get enough experience to climb through the ranks and eventually become a Premier League referee. In total, there are 37,000 registered referees across England, but the PGMOL has only deemed 21 good enough to officiate games in the top flight. So if you want to make it to the top, there's less than a 1 in 1,000 chance of doing it, and it'll take you a decade to get there.
talkSPORT, Sam Matterface and Alex Crook with Troy Deeney. And let's talk about those little messages that I sent you earlier on today, because both of you are very excited about this new...
Well, one of us was. The other one didn't decide
Yeah,
to.
but then again, he don't even read the running order. So the idea of him reading a text message from me about a new law focus was certainly not going to tickle his fancy. New seasons often come with new laws. Not much to concern ourselves with in that department this summer. The 8-second rule, the captain's talking to refs. I think we're all on board with that, aren't we?
Yeah, I thought that's what was supposed to happen anyway, so I don't know why they made it another law, but, you know.
But we will see an increasing focus in the Premier League on holding offences. So penalties might be up this weekend. For those of you who are thinking about, who's put in your fantasy team, that might be a little bit of a nudge for you. We do have these every year, but this has come about because it was an area that the stakeholders, as they call it, the clubs, the fans, the media, all felt consistently wasn't punished last year. What do you think, Troy Deeney?
Again, like this time every year, we come up with a rule. You and your mates, the FA, come up with a rule
Not me and my
and something
mates.
to focus on, and then they'll do it for the first 3 to 4 weeks, have international break, and normal service will be resumed. It'll just go back to how it was. So
Well, that isn't going to happen this year. And I know you raised this with me earlier.
why do you tell me why it's different?
Well,
what happened in your stakeholder
when we
meeting?
were speaking about it yesterday, the feeling was, and Howard Webb is very much behind this, is that this is not going to be something that is just penalised for the first few months of the season, and then it's discarded, and then people forget about it. This is going to be something that they focus on for the whole of the campaign. They showed examples to us a bit, the idea of, I don't know if you remember the Nottingham Forest game against Brighton, the sort of whole...
Yes,
That's
yeah.
going to be a particular example of the kind of thing that's not going to be tolerated.
Does the ball need to be near them?
Well, I did send you the explanation. If you,
No, I'm just but to be honest with you, like most things you sent me, I fell asleep halfway through reading it. So yeah.
Basically, if there's sustained or impactful holding, that is an offence.
Okay.
If there is a clear impact on the opponent's ability to play or challenge for the ball,
Yeah.
If there is a clear non-football action with impact on the opponent's movements, like extreme action, like really probably dragging.
For everyone who's listening, I promise you, he's got to end in a minute.
Not looking at the ball.
Yeah.
Only focusing on the opponent, not challenging for the ball, or holding in someone with both arms, that will be an offence.
Okay. Well,
this is key for people, right? Because you're going to see more of this over the course of the weekend.
Well, of course it is key. But like I said to you in my message, I wish this was in my day.
I was just about to ask you that
I'd have had about an extra 5 to 10 penalties per season. But it is making it harder for defenders to defend. It's creating more goal scoring opportunities.
We want to see that,
which is obviously great. But I do think at times now, especially with VAR, since VAR's come in place, any hold, any grab, any contact, it then becomes that. But I think the fact that you've just said there that Howard Webb said it's going to go on longer than a few months suggests mine and Crookie's original scepticism is something that he sees has been happening over the last 3 or 4 years.
And he's putting it right.
He said the same to me when we talked about the new rule for goalkeepers only allowed to keep hold of the ball for 8 seconds. And I said, well, why are you going to enforce that when you didn't enforce the old rule?
Yeah.
But again, he said, look, this time we are going to clamp down. There will be corners awarded.
That's slightly different, isn't it? Because it wasn't just them that didn't enforce it. No one in world football enforced the 6-second rule when that was the case. And there was no sort of visible sort of sign to be able to indicate that. Now they've got this 8-second rule, and after 3 seconds, they'll do a 5-second countdown. So everybody knows. And then there may well be a corner at the end of it. And
imagine
you knew what
right,
happened at the
imagine going to a
Cup.
game of football and you didn't have to worry what the ref was doing. It's mental.
It does just add extra layers for the officials who were already under so much pressure and scrutiny anyway.
Well, look, they're trying to improve the speed of the game. That's what you want.
That is fine. But if they could improve getting the decisions right, that would help as well.
Its decisions making is up over the course of last year. In fact, VAR probably in a much better place this year than it was last year.
Yeah. Well, tell everyone else to watch the games. We go to more than enough games, and we do it all the time. How many times last year did you go, it's taken over 2 minutes? Yeah, remember the big rant. But yeah, anyway, FA Sam, you've got all the refs happy.
Good news, it was
even our ref producers happy. Look,
it was week 32 when semi-automated offside technology came in last year. This year, it's coming in from match day 1. So
when was it supposed to come
I did get a demonstration on that at the Premier League launch the other day.
Yeah. How did that work?
It went over my head, but they were suggesting. Well, they were suggesting that because one of the big complaints is it takes so long for the replays to actually be shown on the big screen, and they said that's not a VAR Stockley Park issue. That is when the television producer decides the time is right to show the replays.
Yeah, of course it's not their fault. Of course we know that. It's never their fault.
They're also going to crack down on simulation, something else that you'll be pleased about. Better management around head injuries. Every time you go down with a head injury now, you'll have to go off and be assessed. So if you're faking it, Troy, or wasting time, Troy, you are going to go off for 30 seconds to be checked by a doctor, so your team are going to be a man light.
Yeah, I worked the Birmingham City Ipswich game, where they've tried to enforce that in the Championship as well. And there's a rule now as well. If the referee, you don't actually have to have the physios come on the pitch as well, right? Because he did that in the game on Friday night. Jay Stansfield went down just thinking he had cramp. The guys didn't come on, and he still sent Jay off for 30 seconds. Weird.
I think you have to. I mean, the Premier League will probably only enforce it if someone comes onto the pitch to apply attention. And if you...
The referee in that Blues game was terrible anyway, so, yeah.
Is that because he disallowed your mate's goal?
No, the one that was blatantly not a foul. Yeah, listen, I'm over it, but that game was a bit too big for him. But it's good, though. It's only the first game of the season. He's only got another 50, 60 left, so hopefully he'll improve.
It's interesting. There's 6 new Premier League referees this season coming up through
fully
the pathway.
On board, really. Listen to him. He's
What I was just going to say, one of them is an ex-EFL player.
Who?
One of the 6 new referees. Would you fancy that?
Being a ref? I'd much prefer to be a parking attendant than be a referee.
Would you not have a go?
No. First of all, why? Have you ever, when you was at school, you ever go, "Do you know what? I fancy being the ref"? Never.
Remember our producer?
Never. Yeah, and he can't even get through a fitness test.
He did snap his hamstring during a fitness test, which is amazing.
Oh, dear.
Would it be more attractive to be in the VAR room? So you know you're not going to get abuse from the fans. You're not going to get abuse from...
I get abuse walking down the street. Who cares? It's just not something that I find enjoyable. I think you have to be a certain way inclined to be a referee. You know, really get into facts and figures and, you know, XG being part of your life and reading the rules.
You need a bit of a power complex.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So...
Look out for a brand new podcast, by the way, which is starting on talkSPORT this weekend. So Monday, we'll be putting a new podcast out where former Premier League referee and I, Chris Foy, will debate the biggest VAR and refereeing talking points of the weekend. It's called Men in Black. It'll be the new talkSPORT daily feed and on YouTube on Monday afternoon. So we'll explain away all of the refereeing.
How long is that going to be?
It's about 20 minutes.
And
nice. We're going to go at about 9:30 every night.
Yep.
Straight to Kip.
And the good news is that you'll be educated by the time you come in on a Friday, which will be good because you'll know the laws of the game, which you didn't do as a player. Right. So let's move on. When we come back, we go through Crook's transfer notebook. This is Sam Matterface and Alex Crook with Troy Deeney. We're here through till 1 o'clock.
Referee!
Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com. Is it nearly over yet? Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin meet in Alaska later today with the future of the war in Ukraine on the agenda. Over on Times Radio, there'll be rolling coverage of events as they happen, brought to you by world-leading correspondents. To hear more, scroll along the rail on the talkSPORT app and click on Times Radio. I mean, I know he's got some serious things on his mind today, but did you eat that Donald Trump chocolate bar I brought you back from New York?
Do you know what? It melted in the car, but I've got it back in the fridge, and so it's, unmelted now, but no, I've not eaten it.
You're not eating it yet?
No.
Oh, have a big bite out of Trump later on today. Treat yourself. It's the weekend. It is time to have a look at...
He'd be a referee, by the way, Donald Trump.
Do you think so?
Yeah, he's got
a bit more about him than that.
Let's talk about transfer rumours and news which is just coming to us now. There's lots to discuss. Do you want to start with Jacob Ramsey? Because he could well be a Newcastle player, but he's not going to play this weekend.
No, they'd had to register him, I think, by midday today. That didn't happen. He's still completing his medical. £38 million the fee initially, rising to over 40 with add-ons. And I think what's interesting here is this is Aston Villa reacting to the threat of penalties from UEFA, not the Premier League. It's the UEFA FFP rules they're trying to stay on the right side of. And the suggestion is they won't be able to fund a replacement for Jacob Ramsey. And again, I think this just shows you how costly it was, that defeat at Manchester United on the last day of the season, when I thought Villa were dreadful. But obviously they will point to the fact they had a legitimate goal ruled out that probably would have got them in the Champions League, and they might not have had to sell Ramsey.
Well, it would have got them in Champions League because they only missed out on goal difference. And as a result of that, they find themselves playing the Europa League. And you're talking about it's about the spending of wages. They're only allowed to spend 70% of their overall turnover on wages in European competition, obviously in which they take place this year. Jacob Ramsey is not going to be straight into the first 11 at Newcastle. So his motivation for going there is what? To be part of a bigger squad which is going to play in the top tier of European football?
Again, I think...
Or can he force his way into that midfield?
I think he could. He could get in. He offers you the opportunity of playing on either wing and obviously in the midfield three as well. I think he'll play quite a lot of games. I think he was harshly treated a lot at Villa as well. At times last season, whether it be Rashford or Asensio or John McGinn, he was the one who kind of got moved around, kind of the youngest person, so you have to move and fit in. I think he's an exceptional football player, and is that 100% PSR as well for Aston Villa?
Yeah, go straight on.
Yeah.
Because he's an academy graduate.
Yeah, so I can understand the business of it, but I think him going in there, Eddie Howe's a great coach. You can see, I think he'd look at the players and go, oh, I'll probably get a few games here as well. So, I think it's a good move all round.
You spoke to Richard Masters this week. Did you ask him that question that we discussed about PSR, about the unintended consequences?
Yeah. Like most of my questions, he dodged it and suggested that the Premier League is as competitive as it's ever been. I think Aston Villa and Newcastle would probably push back against that. I guess from a Premier League perspective, the fact they didn't have to dish out any points deductions last season, unlike the previous season, would suggest that maybe the system is working. I think football fans and executives at certain clubs would probably push back against that.
Some fans will turn around and say, though, and some have when we've been discussing it before, that actually maybe PSR is working because you cannot now just go out and buy loads of talent when you start to come into money.
Yeah, but again, I suppose if you look at what Man City have done,
you have to remember we are massively against this sort of hampering of Aston Villa and Newcastle. But we feel that they've been sort of kept under a glass ceiling. That's my feeling anyway.
Yeah, but I think these rules coming in has kind of dampened everyone being able to catch up. I think is the feeling. Yeah, it's just again look at my team. If Birmingham City come up this year, we've got the money, but we don't have the capability of doing it. I know now they're worrying about PSR in the Championship. And how are they going to do that? And it limits what they can do in the Championship. So then if they do get promoted, they're already behind the 8 ball because that's lesser than what it was at the Prem. So for me, I just think if we've got the money, there should be things in place to stop people going down the Leeds route of going into oblivion, Portsmouth, being in this wonderful situation. But if you've got the owners and they can do it, put a certain amount of money in escrow that if it ever goes, the belly up, that's where the money comes from and the staff and everyone's taken care of.
Let's talk about Jadon Sancho because he is still looking for employment somewhere.
Yeah, he is, and it looks like a move abroad is most likely. Roma, the latest club to show interest in a potential £20 million deal, which obviously is a big hit on what Manchester United paid for him, but I think they're just keen to get his wages off the payroll. I think it's a test for Jadon Sancho because he clearly won't earn the money in Italy that he's on at Manchester United. That was a barrier in terms of him joining Chelsea full-time. But there must come a time, Troy, in any player's career when actually if you know that you're not going to get any minutes, you have to take the hit and go and rejuvenate yourself somewhere.
Yeah, and weirdly, when you said his name there, I just thought he must be getting fed up. It must be, you go to work every day. You're not part of the team. You was with Chelsea last year. He obviously ended up winning a competition with them. Just you have to be looking around, going, this isn't fun. Let me get out of here. Maybe there's a financial element, as you say. Maybe a little settlement with Man United that they'll pay an X amount for him to leave, but. Yeah, I just think he's got to go and play. He's still only very, very young, still got loads of career ahead of him. But I just wonder whether this stint at Man United cuts his career short, where he mentally loses interest within football because it hasn't worked out well at all.
That's a problem. And you mentioned about the fact that they didn't get a deal done with Chelsea. I mean, I understand that he was willing to take a pay cut to stay at Chelsea because he wanted to play there and he wanted to be at that club. But I think they'd already thought about getting somebody else in because maybe he didn't deliver as much as they expected him to.
Yeah, I don't think he was the model pro while he was there. Should we just say that? The old habits that probably have hampered his Manchester United career, I think were in evidence there as well. It's a shame because obviously
That's not what Enzo Maresca said.
I think there were a few occasions when he wasn't necessarily on time for training, etc.
Yeah, but I think as well, you've got to remember, the kid's 25. Like he's been.
You say kid? Is he a kid at 25?
Of course you are. When you've had the life experiences that he's had. Again, you say a kid at 25. He's had so much life experience thrown at him, positively and negatively, that how is he supposed to, know everything? I always think when somebody's late and continuously late, if what you're saying is true, that's a reflection on the group because they allow that. If that one person keeps coming in late, it's got to be like, oh, hold on, oi, come here, what's going on?
We've seen Thomas Frank, and we take a hard line approach.
There you go.
This week on that front.
Talking to Thomas Frank, he's trying to get his hands on a Crystal Palace talent. Has Eberici Eze flapped his wings for the Eagles for the last time?
No, I think he'll play this weekend. I don't think he's the type of player to chuck his toys out the pram and try and force through this move. He's open to joining Spurs, but Palace will have their price. I think Tottenham's need is pretty desperate, isn't it, with the Maddison injury and obviously having failed to sign Morgan Gibbs-White. And the squad does look like Dominic Solanke probably unlikely to play this weekend. So I think they're a bit short in the number 9 area as well. And was it you talking the other day about the fact that Solanke only scored 9 Premier League goals last season?
Is it again? Dom is good when he plays, but again, always injured at this moment. It's his ankles.
He was never injured at Bournemouth, was he? But he got to Tottenham and then suddenly started to pick up knocks.
He was injured quite a bit at Bournemouth, actually, if you look at it. But I think the requirements and what's asked of him at Spurs is different. I just think Spurs do this merry dance every year. They get fixated with Eze in this situation. Spurs aren't paying what's going to get him out. Spurs aren't going to spending 80, 90 million to get him out of Crystal Palace. Move on.
Is there some sort of clause that's still available in the Eze contract?
Expires today. So
they've got to get it done today.
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen, is it?
But what's the clause? What's the cost?
68, and I think both of them and Arsenal value him slightly below that number, near 60.
But the thing is, they're not going to spend that. We've not had evidence that Spurs spend that type of money. So
the record signing is still Solanke at 65, isn't it?
But that's what I mean. There's no evidence that they're going to go out and go, right, that winger over there, get him, bring him in. They've got one player.
But also, isn't the other issue is that they've got to pay the wages of a £68 million player as well, and that's something that Tottenham Hotspur historically haven't always done.
No, but obviously, Palace aren't big wage payers, so they could give him a decent pay rise without having to smash the structure.
Actually, I can go somewhere else and earn it.
Well, it depends who's at the table for him. My understanding with the Arsenal situation is that they see him as a number 10 as opposed to someone who's coming in from the left. And obviously, they've got Ødegaard, who we've been talking about in that position. They've promised Wanyeri minutes there, and if Gyökeres is going to play up front, Havertz drops into a number 10 as well. So they might just feel like they're too well.
I just think those boys are going to stay at Palace for one more year. I think Palace have got a real issue with Eze because obviously I know he was frustrated with when Elise left and he wasn't allowed to leave. So they've got an issue that they're going to have to deal with, probably financially, give him a new massive bumper contract.
So you think he's more likely to sign a new deal than...
Yeah, but with a decent exit strategy in it for himself.
Because Wilfried Zaha kept doing that and ended up never going to fulfil what could have been a more of a potential.
Yeah, but again, from a player's point of view, you're the main man, you're the captain, you're getting paid handsomely. do you want to leave? Yes, but if you don't, then it's still a great situation. Yeah. So,
well, he's a Palace legend. He's won the FA Cup and he scored the winning goal.
Just a quick one at Bournemouth, interesting one, this one, because obviously they've lost players. Watara's going to Brentford. Ben Doak at Liverpool, £25 million deal, close between those two clubs.
Interesting. Okay, where are you this weekend?
Spurs Saturday and then Leeds with you Monday.
Okay, where are you?
Spurs holding Troy's hand tomorrow and then holding your hand at Old Trafford on Sunday.
Look at that. We're all together the whole weekend. That's good. And we'll be back together this time next week. Shall we do it again?
Yes. Can you wear a better T-shirt next time? Yeah.
I got complimented on this T-shirt today.
My nan had some curtains that look very much like that T-shirt.
To be honest with you, you wouldn't know style if it smacked you in the face, so I'm not taking anything off you. Deanie, possibly. You. Wearing
At least my clothes are clean.
I'm not entirely sure about that. There's half a bacon sandwich down the front of yours. We'll see you next week. Paul, Max and Andy are next.